Todd Sergeant, Newcastle's best radio presenter, voiceover artist and pilot. Anything else I've left out?
Oh, gee, I make a mean pizza. I make great shortbread and just a fantastic personality.
There's a lot of food that comes into this conversation, which we'll get into later, because it always seems to come up. This is the first time for a while that I've actually spoken to you in the afternoon, because it's almost like the only time I talk to you is in the mornings when you're actually on air.
Yeah, you've got to stop bothering me. I'm doing a shift.
I know. You go into hibernation in the afternoon, don't you?
Oh, I get cranky around 2 o'clock, get a bit emotional.
Is that hard doing doing a breakfast show? No, I was going to say, you get up early, you get in, you prepare, you get on air, you finished at 9 o'clock, so most of your shift's nearly finished. You go through a lot of time without actually having to see people. That's the best shift ever.
Yeah, pretty much. So basically I'm in the station between 3:30 and 4. So the 3-hour shift, 6 to 9, you spend at least 2 hours prepping for it, plus there's prep time in the afternoon. So yeah, you don't really see anyone else. Our news guy is there preparing his stuff. And then you walk in the studio at 6 o'clock. So yeah, no one's really around at that crazy o'clock time.
We talk about everything. I'm driving to work and I'm sending you messages on Facebook Messenger and you're answering me in between going to air. You're at the top of your game, that anyone that can do that.
Yeah, look, never let it be said I can't multitask. Never let it be said.
You're also you're not just the breakfast presenter, but you're also you're the station, you're the content.
Yeah,
manager?
So for people who don't know radio, my role is a breakfast presenter, and also it used to be called the program director, but we've become all very fancy-dancy, so content manager at the moment. So basically my role is everything that goes to air, I'm responsible for. So I look after the staff, I look after the programming staff, the music, all of those things. So that side of it, everything that goes to air, I'm the manager of that.
Well, who critiques you?
Well, I've got a boss above me, but he doesn't see me a whole lot. I generally leave before he gets in. So technically my boss, but I have some industry professionals that I actually use to critique me. So there's 3 people that I've worked with and that I really respect and say, hey, look, have a listen to this, tell me what you think.
You for a 3-hour show, you've got a lot going on every day. How much, you talk about preparation. Is it as soon as the shift finishes, you're thinking about the next one?
Well, not even as soon as the shift finishes. You're thinking about everything all the time. So 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, everything is content. So I'll drive around. I could be at the supermarket. I'm a notorious voyeur. So if I'm at the supermarket, I'm listening to people's conversations. And so if you ever see me at a supermarket, just either stop talking or run away. So yeah, everything is content. I've always got my phone with me. I might take a photo of something to come back to that. I might see something funny, but yeah, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, I'm always after content.
You're actually the one that got me started into doing a podcast. You were the one that mentioned to me that, hey, you should do a podcast. And I went, oh, really? And here we are. You love podcasts?
I do love podcasts. I train people in podcasting as well. So one of the many roles that I've done, I've been a media trainer. I've trained for the Australian Film, Television and Radio School. I've lectured at the University of Newcastle in communication and also trained podcasting. So no, I love podcasts. And can I expand on why I do?
Well, I was going to say they're not a threat to what you do.
Oh, I wouldn't agree with that. No, I think, look, next year I celebrate 40 years in radio. So my 18th birthday, I started at Radio 2NX, and I know you want to get onto that a little bit later on. But so next year's 40 years. So one of the great things about podcasting is now that, back in the day, if you wanted to go on the air, it was a bit of a special thing. Not everyone could do it. You think about the media, television, you think about newspapers and radio. One of the great parts about podcasting is now it gives so many people with so many ideas and so much talent the ability to get what they have to say out to a wider population. And the good part about it is, within reason, we know that platforms will limit some discussions. We know that there is censorship, and I hate that. But I would say, all in all, podcasts give people with opinions and some great ideas a forum to get it out there, and I'm 110% behind it.
And a podcast, you look at the Joe Rogan podcast, how it can change a political view in regards to, look at the whole Trump election.
Yeah, look, I think so. And I think Joe Rogan, whether he was totally responsible for Donald Trump's win, whether you're a fan of Donald Trump or not. That's not what we're here to talk about, but absolutely. And that comes down to his son as well. His son was saying to him, hey, you've got to go on here because podcasts are reaching a different audience. And mainstream or legacy media, and you've worked in legacy media, you've worked in newspapers, you've worked in television. God, I know I sound like I'm interviewing you. I'm not used to this.
No, I was expecting you to do this.
Yeah, sorry, okay. Cut, take it again. So one of the great parts about it is, depending what you do, you're reaching all kinds of audiences. And one of the great things about podcasts is they're so mobile. You can listen to it when you want, where you want. And if you've missed something, you can go back to it as well. And long form. Long form is so important because we live in a world where there are short, sharp grabs, right? But sometimes you can't get the communication across. You can't get the narrative across, or you can't get what you're trying to get across when you've only got 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute stabs. And sometimes stories need to expand. And they need to flow where they need to flow.
I'm going to go into a podcast back in 2015. It was called The Sports Tragics.
Oh, wasn't it tragic?
Look at it. The picture, that cartoon picture of me was tragic. Look at me.
Yeah, well, you know what I did?
And this looks like you. It looks nothing like me.
Yeah, well, I can tell you what, and you never ever paid me for this. I forked out the money for this, and I'll tell you a funny story about it. Have you ever heard of a?
This is your payback.
Yeah, this is my payback. Have you ever heard of a site called Fiverr?
No.
Yeah.
You can talk to Dave throughout this too.
Yeah,
by the way.
so Dave's heard of. You've used Fiverr, haven't you?
I haven't used it. I actually looked at picking up work on it because you can. As a contractor, you can just be like throw something at me and.
Yeah,
you'll
work 24 hours and get about $1.75. But give it a crack. Let me know how it works for you. But anyway, so I've approached Fiverr and I've gone, why don't we create ourselves as Simpsons characters? And I got to tell you, this final graphic took about 75 emails. Oh, can you put a soccer ball in it? Can I have a tennis racket? Oh yeah. Can I have my hand in the air? This, as I said, it cost me about $7.60, but I think it took up about 6 months of my life. and the lovely guy, I think he was in Indonesia, because a lot of Fiverr's people work overseas, and I think by the end of it, he was just. Oh no! He'd be going to his email in the morning. Go, oh no, not another email, not another email from Sergeant. And then when I turned around and said, "Mate, that's good," it was like, oh, mate. He was very happy.
I think I would have rather looked like Marge Simpson than that.
You did up till about cut number 25, and I said, "Look," I said, "Can you make it?" I said, "I know he's not overly masculine, but can you make him like a man? Because he's going to turn around and he's going to have a spray."
But just on that podcast, we were into the strange world of different types of sports like cheese rolling, wife carrying, underwater hockey, cockroach racing. But my favourite one,
bog snorkeling.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, it's a big sport.
Yeah, this was the 2024 World Championships.
Yeah,
just last year.
These are the kind of people you want to get stuck next to on a long haul flight somewhere. And you go, what are you into? Bog snorkeling. Oh, 17 hours to Vancouver.
Let's try to spool it through to the actual bog snorkeling bit.
Hey, it's a big thing though.
Like,
yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Look at the colour of that water.
Yeah, doesn't it look great?
It looks like it's like off the runway of the RAF base.
I got to give it to him though. Like short arm, short leg spring suit. Like that water's about -14. Yeah. What's that?
But I don't know, but this is the World Championships, Todd.
Is that a turtle?
Imagine what were the heats like in some of the countries. This is the actual professional ones.
Yeah. I bet that pulls the chicks. I bet that. Well, what do you do? Oh, look, I'm a racing car driver. Oh, what do you do? I'm a bog snorkeler.
Well, Dave's going to a Halloween party tomorrow, and he's getting dressed. I reckon the old turtle suit would be the touche turtle.
I'll let you know how it goes, boys.
Yeah, you'll be home by 8:30
with a chick, hopefully.
No, a bag of McDonald's drive-through at 8:30, and there'll be a movie on.
But I think we need to bring back great events like this to Newcastle. Remember?
Look at this guy,
mate.
Tell you what, he's got shrinkage happening.
It's only -3 in. wherever it's at. It's probably
I
an
wonder
island or
how
something.
many they lose. Like they're halfway through the snorkel and then they just sink to the bottom and die.
Well, I was just I thought you meant the costumes. It's like they dredge it, and all of a sudden there's just all these, you know, all these different costumes. But I reckon in Newcastle we need to bring back something, a Birdman rally.
I think a Birdman rally would be fantastic.
And only 15 years ago they were still doing it at the Hunter Wetlands. Look at these.
That's news to me. I didn't even know this.
They did, yeah. Imagine that going off Queen's Wharf. It was like people putting anything together, strapping themselves to their body and thinking they can fly.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is with that, you want to see them fail. You don't actually want to see them succeed. You want to see them plummet into the water. And whilst you don't want them to die, you want them to kind of be trapped. So they've got to bring in the frogmen and stuff like that.
We need Red Bull to sponsor one of these because Red Bull sponsor nearly every sport where it's most. Let's get them to let's go close to dying, but just not that close.
Yeah. Maybe hospital. Maybe, or at least to the ambulance. And I don't want to see our emergency services used willy-nilly for these things, but maybe let's call, just touch and go. Hey, just speaking about sports, and look, I've got to tell you, I don't generally get interviewed. So if I overstep the boundaries here, because this is your show, this is Incredible Lives with Caney. That's Caney, special guest today. Thank you.
Bloody hope so.
So you tell me if we're going in the wrong direction, but talk about sports. So the sports
You can talk
tragics
about
was a very short-lived podcast, and as they tend to be in that situation. But I've got to say, you and I have spoken about one of the things that I cannot get my head around at the moment is darts. I about 6 months ago, I was flicking through YouTube, and I love YouTube, and I thought it was a G-up. And this fat guy is walking down in this massive entertainment area,
and he's got something up.
Oh, you've got it, have you?
No. We got the technology here.
Keep going. I'll bring something up.
So I was flicking across. I'm going, well, this has got to be a G-up. This is like something out of the Paul Hogan show. Yeah, Arthur Dunger. And I'm going, and there's scantily clad ladies walking down, and the crowd are going crazy. And I'm thinking, this is this has got to be a comedy segment, and it wasn't. I don't get it. Yep. And the crowd goes wild.
It's a
hit as well.
You have to be a finely tuned athlete for this.
Bullseye Brady. Oh, look at this.
See what you call, and he got it.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a world champion. Was his name Whitlock?
Yeah, Whitlock from Cessnock.
The Wizard of Oz. He was the world champion.
Really? Well, how much money do you make as a world champion?
I think you make a lot of money.
Oh, get out of here.
I'm pretty sure you do.
Google that, Dave. Can you Google how much?
Yes.
Sorry, I don't want to be snapping orders here, but I'm like,
mate, I'm on you.
Because I'm thinking, when my radio career comes to an end, I've been trying to lose weight, but I'm going to go and pile on. I'm going to get out and get the muffins, and then
I was going to say, so when your radio career finishes, you just don't want to do much.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, there you go.
Here we go.
This is amazing technology.
Salary.
What?
Look at this.
No way.
Top players potentially earning over $1 million annually from tournament winnings, sponsorship, and exhibitions.
So who'd sponsor a darts player?
Well, it's been big in England for a while.
Beer companies.
Beer company.
Well, I mean, it's like lawn bowls. I mean, kids can make more money out of lawn bowls if they're good. What I'm saying is that I think you've got a better chance of a sport like lawn bowls to make it than soccer, where every kid wants to be the next Ronaldo.
Yeah, that's true. Or the next Tiger Woods or whoever,
absolutely.
Even though he's a bit on the nose after everything that's happened.
What was that?
Driving skills.
What's that game that's in the paper? Sudoku? Sudoku.
Yeah.
There was a documentary once on a group of guys. They were hopeless at every sport. But then there was a Sudoku World Championships.
Again, that's another one that pulls the ladies.
So what they did, they decided there was no Australian team. So they put together this Australian team. They even made Australian blazers. That was, I think it was in Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
They turned up and they said, you know what, we're hopeless at every other sport, but we've actually represented Australia at something. And it was that. They got knocked out in the first round, but they still represented Australia.
Yeah, and you wait 4 hours at an emergency centre to get treated, but they've can do blazers for the Sudoku team of Australia. But I was thinking about the darts. And, back in the bad old days, one of the things that I love doing, because one of my go-tos is YouTube. I think it's fantastic. And I know this sounds very daggy, but I like watching the old Bathurst races, back to the 70s and into the 80s and maybe not the 90s. But back in the day when, and cigarettes are bad, we know and we understand. But, I was thinking, the guys who do the darts, that must have broken their heart the day that you couldn't advertise tobacco. Because I reckon, the day...
The Marlboro.
Yeah, I reckon the day that cigarette advertising was banned, these guys lost 75% of their advertising endorsements.
Mate, yeah, absolutely. And Benson and Hedges, that's another thing.
Yeah,
the smokes, the drinks. I want to get on to something that really ticks you off, e-bikes.
Yeah, they do. Okay, look, okay. So, you keep going.
You're talking about locally?
Look,
or them in general?
Okay, I think e-bikes are fantastic. Anything that can get people out and exercising. So the whole concept of the e-bike, whereas an electrically assisted bike. So I'll give you an example. Now, obviously, this is a global podcast. There'll be people in, everywhere watching this. So they're not going to know where the Fernley track is in Newcastle. But I've got to tell you, if you know, you know, but it's about 20 k's long or something like that. It's an old railway line.
Yeah.
And I remember it stretches from a suburb in Newcastle down to another suburb. And I was pedalling back up the hill. And I'm there and I'm about to have a cardiac arrest, right? I'm about to check out. And this old guy comes past on an e-bike. Oh, keep up with me. And I was so annoyed. But my thing is electrically assisted bikes, anything that can get people out. I just don't think you should be able to get on there, crank the handle and go. You should be pedaling.
But what about the ages of people that use them? There's some kids, they'd be like 10-year-olds and they're going like the speed of light on a footpath. It's just a matter of some old person walks out of a shop, they get clattered. And someone has to die in Newcastle before we do something?
We're getting controversial now. Look, I think what's happened with the e-bikes is, and look, we cover a lot of topics on the program and that kind of thing. The problem with e-bikes is I think the cat's out of the bag. Yeah, the horse is bolted. And I think whilst they would love to be able to rein it in, they can't. Because you think about what are those fat boys worth? They're $3,000, $4,000?
They're everywhere too.
Yeah, they're everywhere too. And you think, okay, well, parents have got to be buying these, but they're going like the clappers. And the thing is, you're right, people are going to get run over, but the horse is bolted. And with a lot of governments, what they do is go, we're going to crack down on, you're going to do nothing. And it's too little too late. And I think, yes, it's great to have people out on the street, but I don't think the e-bike should be able to be used without you pedaling. It should be an electric assist, not crank it on, because it's a motorbike then. Yeah. Whether it's a petrol motor
registered.
or an electric motor, yeah, absolutely. So
I went past Dixon Park Surf Club the other day, went for a walk, and there was a bike rack with the big fat boys, e-bikes. It looked like, when a bikie gang turns up at a pub.
It looks like the Hells Angels going for a swim. They're all down the beach.
Absolutely ridiculous. But that's the thing too. I mean, you just see them going so fast. But to me, like an 8 or 9 or 10-year-old, their brain isn't thinking what's happening ahead.
No.
And too, you also see them on the backs of, of their dad, and the dad's breaking the rules as it is as well.
Yeah, totally. And I think, look, sometimes they're wearing helmets. I don't really care for the riders. That doesn't bother me. Like, and at the end of the day, if you want to, I actually don't think you should have to wear a push bike helmet. I totally disagree with that. I think, I know they're the rules and understand, but when you and I were kids, you didn't have to wear a helmet, and I understand the dangers and stuff. So
only if you're going under a magpie tree.
They
come in.
They
come in handy then, didn't they?
Yeah, the stack hats. And weren't the stack hats the most beautiful
when they first come out?
Yeah, and and if you had poor parents and they're like, oh look, we had to get you one. Pink was the only one that's left. It's like I'm going to get beaten up.
You look like you were about to, like you're an astronaut, like you have
daggy astronaut.
And just staying on that, this morning you mentioned something about an astronaut who was his birthday today.
Michael Collins, yeah. Michael Collins would have been celebrating his birthday today. Michael Collins was on Apollo 11. And he was, I forget what his title was, whether mission specialist or whatever, but basically Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong went down to the moon. And while they were down on the moon, Michael Collins was orbiting the moon. So he was up in the capsule or whatever it is while they were down there.
But you said that he's one person you'd love to interview.
I would have loved to interview Michael Collins.
What would be the question?
Well, look, you think about it. And look, there's so many people.
What was it like to miss out?
Well, no, not necessarily. Like, still, going to the moon's a big thing. Just because you don't get to walk down there. There's so many conspiracy theories at the moment.
I was about to say, you actually think that it did happen.
Can we touch on that in a minute?
Okay.
So let's pretend, or let's say that the man did go to the moon, Apollo 11.
Okay.
You think about it. It was 6 days. I think it was 6 days to get to the moon. And you're up there. And if it all did happen, and I don't know where I sit regarding whether we went to the moon or not. And I've been watching a lot of documentaries on it. My theory is enough people could not have kept the secret if they didn't go. Okay, that's like I sit there and I go from side to side, and then some people say some really interesting things. But if man did go to the moon, you imagine that you're up there just orbiting around. And we know if everything that we've been told is true, and, they had this issue, Neil Armstrong's bringing it in manually. They've got, 6 seconds of fuel left and they touch down. You imagine being up there and potentially getting that call to say, we ran out of fuel. We're not coming back. And what would you do? Would you just go, okay, see, you wouldn't want to be here. Mm-hmm. Would you wait until the oxygen ran out? Would you be able to wait? Would you have to leave Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin there? And what about that trip back? Sure, you'd be the most famous one. You'd get all the endorsements. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's why. Did that go through his mind? That I may have to leave here and come back alone? And what would go through your mind?
I just think the technology back then, people are sitting in their lounge room watching it clear as crystal on their set.
Well, it wasn't clear as crystal.
Well,
grainy and black and white.
But still,
yeah.
But would that, if you had this guy in front of you to ask questions, would you ask that question?
Yeah, totally.
But would you leave that right to the end? Because, a few of the other ones have been asked this, and it's almost like interview's over. You'd probably ask him all the questions. Oh, isn't it, are you sad that you didn't get to walk on the moon? That leave that one last, because if it all goes awry, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think that is one of the final questions that you would ask. And you think about it, like it's like when you drive a company car and you ding it, right? You got to make that call to your boss. Oh mate, I'm really sorry. Like imagine making that call, Houston. Yeah.
I mean, with everything that was going on in the world, there was the space race and everything like that. It was a real haste to be the first on the moon.
Why?
Well, they wanted to do it before Russia. And why hasn't it been done since?
Well, didn't India crash something into the
now.
moon or whatever?
Huh?
Didn't India crash something into the moon?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't want to be controversial, but
I mean, you sort of think with the technology these days, why haven't we even attempted it again? Or why hasn't any other country done that?
Yeah, that's a $64,000 question. I think you're dealing a lot of egos. And I think, you came out of World War II. You think about it, we're getting to the end of World War II. And, friends become enemies very, very quickly. And I think, I love history. I really love history. So you think about it, you're heading to the end of World War II. You've got England, America and Russia all heading towards Berlin. Mm-hmm. But already you knew there'd be people going, we're going to have the Americans and the English going, we're going to have a problem with Russia. And Russia probably thinking the same. So not only, basically, it's like, World War II's over, woohoo, boom, and it all started. And I think that when you've got so many egos, and to be the first person on the moon or the first country on the moon, and America would, Sputnik, the first satellite in space, I think that really killed America to think that the Russians, because there's that attitude that, they're not as technologically advanced as we are. All of a sudden, hey, by the way, look up, that's ours. Thank you very much.
Yep. You're a very structured person, aren't you? I mean,
Please explain.
Well, what I say by this is that every day seems to, like you do your shift, you go off and you just fall off the radar, even to the point where you won't even tell me if you go on holidays the next week. I go to work.
Well, why do you care? Why do you care whether I'm on holidays or not?
Well, because we're friends. I mean, when you say, hey, by the way, I'm not going to be on air next week. It was going to be Mark Rourke or, someone else.
It's a bit creepy. What are you stalking me?
No, I'm not stalking.
You are.
But it's almost like you keep your private life very private, don't you?
Yeah. Look. As I said, I've been in radio nearly 40 years next year because of so much that you do. Okay, so people will often ask me, okay, you've known me for a long number of years. Is the Todd on air? I'll ask you the question. Is the Todd on air the Todd that you get off air? Is there a mixture of, or am I just totally,
It's a mixture.
Yeah, that's it. So I think the thing is that when you do give so much on the air, and I'll give you an example. Last week, it's silly things. Every Friday, someone at the radio station makes a cake, and it was my turn last week to make a cake. Right. The deal is you can't use a packet cake. You can't buy it, of course. It's got to be from scratch. And so I've gone and made this cool chocolate cake, and I've iced it, and I've put it up there, and you get the hate. You do. You get icing hate. Like, seriously.
Because it was a bit rough and ready.
Yeah, it was rough and ready. And I said, no, I wanted it to be rustic. I wanted it to be robust.
But that sort of icing, I saw that cake.
Yeah, it looked good, didn't it?
Well, it did, because that's the way icing should be. You don't want it smooth like a bloody wedding cake.
No, you don't. But then you get people go, oh, did you really make that? I'm like, well yeah.
I'll tell you a story. When I worked for Prime 7 in Wagga, I was only there for 3 months before I got moved to Tamworth with NBN. But I was there and I got on with everyone. But what I did, there was a guy.
Are you allowed back in Wagga?
Probably not after this.
Oh, gotcha. I just wondered, I was moved out. It's like, with a
and
shotgun and a pitchfork at the edge of town.
And that's not the mafia story. There was a guy who worked in the newsroom, Ben Shahita. There you go, if Ben's watching. He used to bring in these brownies and cakes and slices that his wife used to make. And he used to bring them
he brought in brownies, did he?
Only for the newsroom. He used to bring them, sit
on
there
what
down.
day?
Every day.
I was going to say, is that why the reports are so dodgy on brownie days? They're stoned because Ben, what's his name? Ben Fajita.
Ben Shahita.
Fajita.
Shahita.
Oh, sorry.
So he used to put it down, right? So what he used to do, he used to always have an interview lined up, so he'd be out the door with a cameraman and leave these here, right?
Yeah.
So all the women that used to come in, the clerical staff used to come in the front of
It's a bit sexist, isn't it?
Well, they were, no, it wasn't. That was.
I'm
the
not
fact.
trying to put you on the spot here. I'm not
women.
trying to be controversial, but
look at this, Dave. What's he trying to do? Anyway, so what I used to
Dave
do.
knows what I'm trying to do.
So I picked up this every morning. I would pick it up and I'd come out and I'd go, "Look at this, ladies. This is what I made last night." And they'd go, "Oh my God!
look at you.
What a man! What a man
Jeez.
that could make food like this. Oh, you're a catch, And I went, "Oh, it's all my home science back in the
would have
day."
been heaving bosoms all over the radio station, the television station with that, wouldn't it?
So fast forward to my last day. Everyone's leaving. I was only there for 3 months, and they're giving me a send off. So I must have made an impression. But I actually I fessed up and I said that all that stuff was Ben Shahita's wife's handiwork, and all the women were just like, and he was just like,
Hey, can I ask you? Can I jump in on that though? You're there 3 months. Can I ask you a question?
yes.
Because we talk about these kind of things, Dave. And I don't know whether you and Dave but what's the regulation? What are the rules regarding a going away present from a business or an organisation? So you're there 3 months. So you're there 3 months because I've got to tell you, if I was there and then someone says, "Hey, well, Kaney's leaving. Do you want to kick in any money?" No, I don't. He's been here 90 days.
I think a year. 1 year has to be a year. And to be truthful, I didn't expect that. In fact, I did a funny thing.
That's an evaluation period.
I actually
had
3
months.
I had a big coat on too, and I did like a little practical joke where I knew I had to say something to say goodbye. So what I did, I put like all the Prime 7 rulers and pens and everything inside this.
So you're stealing stationery,
inside
basically.
this. But when I was doing this speech going, "Thank you, everyone. It's been a pleasure to be here for the last 3 months. And you know what? I'm going to take a lot away from this." And as I did that, and all this stuff went onto the floor. And everyone, half of them thought I was fair.
You were serious. Did you steal
all this
it all?
stationery just all over the floor.
I think it's fair grab if you're leaving. But I think
I
3
do.
months, you don't come and ask me. Six months, $5. I don't know. What do you reckon, Dave? 3 months, nothing. Okay, hey, 3 months, maybe a morning tea, right? Packet of Tim Tams and a packet of Ice for Vos.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
And, thanks. But no, you can't go and hit staff for a 3 month.
Especially if you haven't even done a Secret Santa.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
At Elk Architecture, we don't just design buildings, we shape the spaces where life happens. From concept to construction, our award-winning architects bring our vision to life with precision, passion, and purpose. Whether it's your dream home or your next big commercial project, trust Elk Architecture to build what matters most. Elk Architecture, designed for life, built for the future.
You've got a really big following, haven't you? Sort of like a cult following.
Oh yeah, yeah.
A nice cult, you know. Mum and Dad, I'm joining a cult. No, it's a nice cult. It's a nice one. But they're
Not
very...
that Todd Sergeant. No, he's the devil's work.
But they're very loyal. You put something up on Facebook and it's almost like 100 people comment. It's almost like they love you. You've really built I was going to say an empire because it's not an empire.
No, that's a bit arrogant.
But you actually have built
close.
this following that
I'd get it going
are
away,
really, and to the point where you actually put a cake up online and they're critiquing it. They're going, not many people do that. They don't. Not many radio presenters have that sort of following.
Yeah, look, in all seriousness, my audience are very loyal, and I think one of the things, people sense genuineness, they sense sincerity, and I think when I train radio people, because I've trained many, many radio people over, the first thing I say is when you go to a new town, you come in and you be humble, because I make this joke that, and you know how, and I do it when I go out and do public speaking and stuff, and I'll say, you know what, listeners are like dogs, and then people get really angry at me, right? But they don't want to be angry at me, and I say, look, I'm just joking, but you know when a dog comes up to someone and they want to find out if they can trust you, you know what I mean? They walk around, they go, are you my kind of person? Are you? And you know how much I love dogs. I'm a dog, right? Yeah. And then immediately they come and have a sniff, they have a walk around, they see your mannerisms, and they want to work out if they can trust you. A listening audience is the same. You're a new announcer at a station or a new announcer that comes into town, right? You've got to come in very, very humble, because without the audience, you're not there. And this is where a lot of people in media lose it. They think, oh, I'm a big star, I'm this, that, and the other, but that they forget that without the audience, right, they don't exist. And they come in, oh, I'm going to tell them this, I'm going to tell them that. But it takes a while for that audience to turn around and go, you're one of our people. We want to hear what you have to say. We want to hear what you think. What do you say? And they pick up the things that you don't even think about. And I'm blessed that I've been doing it a long time, currently 25 years at my current radio station, 2NURFM. But people are smart. And you can't, you know what they say, don't BS a BSer. But people hear what you say.
I also want to say too, you know, a lot of people probably wouldn't think this. They may do this, but I know a lot of other presenters on other stations.
Well, let's name some names then.
Well,
let's throw some people under the bus.
Okay.
What have we got to lose?
Well, most of the FM stations have producers.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes two producers.
Yep.
One person would sit on air with another two and talk.
Yep.
All you're producing is off your own noggin.
Yeah.
You're doing it on your Pat Malone. You're doing the panel. You're pressing everything. You know, you're getting everything up on YouTube. Even if you talk about something, just like Dave did before, all of a sudden you're getting a YouTube clip.
Yeah.
You know,
audio
other places,
or something like that.
You're not just turning up at 5:30, 6 o'clock, turn the mic on and just talk.
No.
That's
all right.
That's rare these days.
Yeah, it is rare. Can we rewind a little bit? So, look, wherever you're listening to this podcast or you're viewing it, if you're not in Newcastle, or even if you are in Newcastle, I never expect people to listen. I just take it as if you listen to the program, then I'm honoured in that situation. But yeah, I'm a solo breakfast presenter. So I have worked in that situation where I've been a part of a breakfast team and had 2 and 3 people in the studio. But often people will come along to me and they'll go, well, why don't you have another co-host? And they'll joke, oh, you're too ego-driven, you're not prepared to share the limelight. But think about it this way, and you've been around the media long enough. You know, you've been television, radio, you know, that kind of thing. My approach is having a solo operator is a point of difference. So you think about it. I don't know if you ever been into a situation, maybe you've been into a shop and you know when locals hang around, or a pub, for example, and the locals know the bartender or the barman, the barmaid, whatever, and you walk in and they're having a bit of a conversation and you want to order a drink, but you feel like you're out of the loop.
Yeah.
You feel like you're invading their personal space. And often that's what happens with radio. They turn around and you've got, let's say, for example, we've got Dave over here. We're having a bit of a chat every now and then, but we're continuing to throw it back to the viewer, to the listener. Could you imagine if we just got into a conversation amongst ourselves, people who go, oh, yeah, look, I'm obviously invading their private time. And the more people you have in a studio, the more opportunity you have to ignore your audience.
Yeah.
And it becomes, everyone's just laughing at each other and everyone thinks they're so funny in that situation. But rarely do they turn around. And I'll tell you what I'll do on the air. So I'll give you a story. So whenever you're on the air, I've only ever believe I have one listener. Because I'll say to people, how many? If I go out and do a public chat or something like that to a group, how many listeners do you think I have? And then you'll always get the smart-ass jocko at the back, oh, you got 2 listeners and the dog. And then people say, I got 100,000 or whatever. And I say, look, I've got one listener, and that listener is you. So when I go on the air, and you may have noticed this or you may not have noticed it, but I'll go, how was your weekend? What are you doing this weekend? I've got a great story for you. Weather for you today. Because at the end of the day, no one likes to feel like they're part of a massive group. Right? So, hello, everyone. And you'll never, ever hear me use the term listeners. But what happened was, because I always had that belief that I've only ever talking to one person. And radio should be a lean-in medium.
And that's another thing too. You talk about you do it solo, and you're also very private. You see a lot of these duos talk about their private life, talk about their husbands and wives and stuff like that. Should that be a no-go zone? Or is it just like they're devoid of content?
Can I come back to that? Just finish the point about the one-to-one.
Sure.
I had this really interesting story, and I call my listeners brekkies. And then one day I turned around and I thought, I'm going against my training here that, one-to-one, by if you're saying brekkies, it's plural. So I stopped saying brekkies. And I was at a function one day and this lady came up to me and she said, hey, Todd, got to ask you a question. And I said, what's that? She goes, why did you stop calling us brekkies? And I did.
See, they even pick up on that.
They picked up on that. And she felt a part of a group, a part of a club, a part of a community. And if you can do that through radio, when you're sitting in a studio where you can't see them, then you're doing very, very well. So loyalty can be lost very quickly in that situation. So getting back to your question, yeah, look, I remembered years and years ago when this is back in the 90s when I got engaged and I was doing the breakfast program and my program manager came to me and said, oh, we want to do a promo around the engagement and we want to do this and we want to do that. And my fiance wanted nothing to do with it and I wanted nothing to do with it because sometimes I think media people will milk an event. Whether it's a wedding, whether it's this, whether it's that. So no, I believe you've got to give something of yourself, but if you don't keep some of it private, then what have you got? Yeah. And I think more and more, once upon a time, when I first got into radio, if you wanted to communicate with a radio station, what would happen is you'd have to ring and hope that the DJ, the announcer would pick up the phone. We didn't have email, we didn't have messenger, we didn't have social media. So for you to get through to that person was very, very hard. And a lot of announcers would never want to answer the phone. So the things have changed. There are so many ways that you can keep in touch with the presenter, but the other side of that is I get so much great content. So for example, the great part about my listener is that they know, for example, I answer the phone. I don't have a producer that answers the phone. So if you ring the radio station, you'll get to talk to me. And I answer the phone the same way every time. 2NURFM, good morning, it's Todd. And the thing is, when people do that, oh, g'day, Todd, it's Barry. I just want to let you know there's an accident or so-and-so and so-and-so. So you're getting through to the person that you're listening to. And I think people like that. So I know I've gone off track a little bit, but yeah, I think there needs to be, you need to keep some of your personal life personal. Otherwise, you leave it all out there. But you can't not give a little bit. Like I said, people came to me and said, oh, is that really your cake? Yeah, it is really my cake.
Kumquats.
The kumquats, yeah, I've got a kumquat tree.
I didn't believe that at first.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know anyone that's got a kumquat tree. Do you know, Dave? I don't know anyone.
Where do you guys go? Like, what rock are you two living under?
Okay, with all the followers you got, you actually got a critic that's been quite. He's been quite lately,
I reckon
though,
he's
hasn't he?
dead. I'm just saying.
He was sending you letters, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was sending.
It's
me
almost
letters.
like the identikit letters. You know, they're cutting them out and like.
Well, yeah, and leave the parcel in the bin at the corner
and
of
it was wrapped
Robertson.
in a brick.
Yeah, that's it. Thrown through the window. Yeah. So look, one of the things that, and you'll know this from being in the media, but more so when every day you do something every day, and you have a situation where people agree with you and disagree with you. And because I'm the program manager as well, this guy, and look, I know his name. It was Stephen someone, and he even had his address. And I so wanted to go around
No wonder
and
he's
egg
dead.
his letterbox. Well, no,
You've taken him out.
well, no, I haven't. You can't. No. I can neither confirm nor
Dave,
deny.
this has turned into a crime podcast.
Oh, hang on. What are the police doing here? This is a setup. You'll never take me alive. So yeah, Stephen was his name, and he gave his address. And obviously, I believe he's an older chap, and basically hated everything I did. Hated everything I said, and it didn't play the music.
You weren't playing enough music?
Weren't playing enough 60s, weren't
Talking
playing
too
enough
much.
Beatles, talking too much. And it would get, and the funny part about it is, I was waiting for the next one to come, and I thought the big joke is, you've spent the time writing this out, and you've paid for a stamp to abuse me. You've actually gone to an expense to tell me how crap I am.
You tell me about this. I said straight away, it's an older person.
Yeah.
Because a younger person wouldn't have gone to that.
I've profiled it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So for the listeners that are watching this, right, don't criticise Todd because
Oh, you get a spray.
you go missing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But over the
Allegedly.
time,
Allegedly.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
allegedly.
Yeah.
Also, too,
You watch your step too, Caney.
Yeah.
One day, Dave, you'll come in and shoot the podcast. Where's Caney? Hey, Todd, have you seen Caney?
if you are
No.
watching this, obviously I'm
dead.
Pauline Hanson did that once, didn't she?
I want to do that. I want to do that at my funeral because I've got some pretty interesting things I want to have when I die. Okay, I want to actually be blasted into space. There's this company that what they do is once they don't blast your whole body into space because obviously I'm too fat to go up, but it costs too much. But what they do is once you're burnt, they grab some of your ashes. This is a true story. You know what I'm talking about.
Shatner wants to do it.
Yeah, well, but what they do is they grab some of your ashes, and what they do, they put it in a little vial, they stick it in a rocket ship, and up you go, right? And then it just points towards the sun. So you spend eternity circling the cosmos. But I'm thinking, okay, well, how do I know what bit of me's going up? Because you imagine if you're kind of hoping a bit of your brain goes up. They've grabbed your testicles, right? They've just blasted my balls into space. It's cost me about $17,000.
So your testicles are orbiting the Earth.
Orbiting the Earth forever. Anyway, sorry, I digress. I want to do that when I die. I want to record the video and have a situation when, because when I die, I've got some fairly stringent things that I want done. I want 2 weeks of official mourning, and only black clothing can be worn for those 2 weeks. And then we have the ceremony. But I want to do that. I want to have a screen, and while the organist's playing the music, and everyone's like sobbing, and they don't know how they're going to get on. I pop up, hey, if you're watching this, I'm dead.
Just staying on the cremation thing.
Yeah.
It just brought up. Remember when you used to go to school, and they had an incinerator at the back,
Yeah.
and used to be a guy.
Where do you think the critic got to? I can neither confirm nor deny that.
But the GA, the janitor, the handyman, whatever they used to call him, it was always Kevin, Bob, and it was never Mister. It was always everyone knew that.
That was
person
always short. It was Kev.
by the
That was never a full name.
by the first name.
Yeah.
And he'd be out the back, and it was always a certain time of the day. You'd be in class, and you'd smell the smoke.
Well,
And
see, you got to understand, I lived at Taro. We've got the crematorium at Beresford.
Well, there you go.
So you're always smelling the
you got
smoke.
mixed up there. But most of the time, you smell the smoke. Oh, he's burning something. It was usually a Thursday or a Friday, and it'd be straight after lunch. He'd be straight out the back. And you'd be standing next to him, and Kev would be going, you want to chuck this in? And you'd be like chucking in plastics,
Yeah,
everything. And it's
aerosol
like,
containers.
you know, you're throwing things in. The embers were hitting you on the forehead.
Yeah.
And the teachers would be just like, it's all right. They're with Kev. Everything will be fine.
What could go wrong? The students are over with Kev at the incinerator underneath the stage
The
area.
fact you could just burn things on site.
Yeah, but everyone had it. But everyone had an incinerator in those days.
Yep.
You know, everyone with some Besser blocks. You know,
It's where all the best arsonists, the breeding ground of any good
yeah,
arsonist.
that's right.
Just staying with what you talk about, I feel like you've been becoming a little bit more political of late.
Really?
Yeah, you know.
What makes you
don't
say
be-
that,
You've been
Michael
sarcastic
Caine?
now.
What's-
You've been
you really
sarcastic.
think that I'm
Do you think
being-
you'd be a good counsellor?
Like a local councillor?
Yeah.
Oh, heck no. No.
Well, you'd actually get in because probably you've got so many followers that would vote you in.
Well, possibly, yeah, but my problem is, and I've been approached to run for politics before, but I am notoriously corrupt. So what would happen is, I'd get into council, I'd be there a day, and it'd be like, oh, you'd like an incinerator built in your suburb. Normally we don't, but
All the complimentary biscuits.
yeah, honestly, I would have my snout in the trough so quickly. I would last 3 months before ICAC carted me away. I'd be like Hannibal Lecter. They would cart me away on a trolley with a cage on my face because I wouldn't trust myself not to be corrupt.
Okay, this week there was a council meeting where a councillor put forward to try and get a rainbow-coloured zebra crossing.
Oh yeah,
In
for
Beaumont
quality LGBTQ. Yeah.
I mean, should council rates be going on stuff like that? Shouldn't it be just rates, roads,
Oh,
and
you do
rubbish?
want to get controversial now,
Well,
don't
I just
you?
think. I mean, to me, don't get me wrong. I mean, if that's what people want, if that's what their lifestyle, that's totally fine. But should people's rates be going?
No, they
towards
shouldn't.
Something like that.
They shouldn't. Okay,
when you look at Beaumont Street, which is an absolute shithole at the moment,
Yeah, it's not. It's a shame. It really is.
maybe
a shame.
put into some like cleaners or something to.
Let's rewind on that. Okay, so let's take it back. So first and foremost, I believe we have one tier of government too much in Australia. Okay, and I've thought about this, and my way of thinking is the state government should go. I do not understand. Sorry, and I'm going a long way to get back to your question.
No.
I do not understand why we need a New South Wales driver's license. Yet, if you're a heavy vehicle driver, you have an Australian heavy vehicle licence. State government should go. It is ridiculous. We've got one tier of government too many. We need federal, and I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of local government. But I've looked at this and I've gone. You should have federal and you should have local government. And
Just stay on that.
Yeah.
Would you be a fan of local government if they were all independent and not a Liberal Labor?
yeah, I don't think there's a place in local government for political parties. And I've got to say, and I want to be really, really clear, I have voted Labor, I voted Liberal, I voted Democrat in my life. So I listen to what people have to say. But when it comes to local government, no, I'm really sorry. I don't think there should be party affiliation in local government. And I agree with what you're saying when you say rates, rubbish and roads. And my problem is when councils, and it's happening right around Australia, when they start to get on a bandwagon of something. Take the Rainbow Crossing, for example. I do not have a problem having something like that to show support, etc., etc., etc. What I don't believe is when we are missing areas of, and it's been very big in Newcastle recently with the rains we've had. Money has been transferred from one area to another to fix potholes. I think that all that local council should be is about, as you said, roads, rates and rubbish. Are the public toilets clean? Are the libraries being looked after? I think so many of our councillors have their little passion projects. And they want to push their agenda. So I don't like the left or right. I'm not a fan of either political party, or like whether it's Labor, whatever. I think they're both equally as bad as each other. Because the minute you get in there, there's an agenda, and you can come in with the best intentions, but if you're in a political party at some stage, you're going to toe the line. So no, I think. Council should be focusing on its ratepayers. I'll give you an example. We've had the V8 supercars a few years ago. I believe there should be total transparency in where that money goes. And you would remember the V8 supercars came in and people said, whether you're for it or against it, doesn't matter. But people saying, well, how much is the Newcastle Council or how much is the council kicking in? oh, we can't tell you. It's, what is it, confidential in commercial or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you're taking ratepayers' money. You've got to tell people what you're spending that money on, because you can't hide behind that. And unfortunately, councils more and more are just going, we can't tell you. Well, I'm sorry, maybe what ratepayers need to do is go, tell you what, until you tell us, we ain't paying our rates.
Do you feel even that Broadmeadow precinct for the affordable housing, which has been mooted by the Minns government, the fact that the Labor, there's a Labor alignment to Newcastle Council, they're going to go with pretty much anything the state government are going to put forward without any pushback.
I agree, and let's be honest. If that's, you've got a heavily weighted council that's Labor and Greens,
and I would say,
if you've got a Labor
for the
state,
record, if this was a Liberal government,
they'd be doing the same thing.
This is not me being,
No, you're right.
Yeah,
you're going to toe the line. And if we had a Liberal government in, then because I think there's not all councillors, but I believe there's a certain cohort that are hoping that once they've gone, and I'm not bagging Newcastle Council, I'm talking councils right around Australia, okay? Because I'm the first one. If a council does something I think is great, I'll be the first one to go, great move. You can't be one of those people that turn around and go, I'm always going to go after them. There are some things that Newcastle Council or whatever council have done, Lake Macquarie Council, wherever you may be, give them a pat on the back. If they turn around and do something good, it can't all be, brickbats. Occasionally, it's got to be bouquets as well. But the problem is that, if you've got I think there is a certain amount of people who get into local government that are hoping for higher things, whether it be federal, whether it be states. And at the end of the day, if you come in as let's say you come in as a Jedi, you're a member of the Jedi group, and you turn around and the Jedis are running.
You got me in one.
Yeah. You're not going to go against it, because at some stage you'll turn around and you'll need their help, and they'll go, hey, by the way, we wanted this kind of pushed, and maybe not. That's only my opinion.
I mean, just staying on affordable housing, what we used to call it. We used to call
what housing's affordable these days?
We used to call it Housing Commission. But I did a job up in Nelson Bay the other day, and there was a guy, I had to put some carpet in a demountable, and he turned it into a one-bedroom unit.
Yep.
Had a kitchen, little dining room, bedroom. That's pretty much all you want. And this guy said, I took this as a prototype down to Sydney to Guildford, I think in Sydney, whatever council that is, and said, look, this is perfect. You can actually stack them on top. They didn't want to know because they couldn't put any red tape on them.
Okay.
I think we've got a picture of one of these things.
It's like it's a shipping container. That's very cool. Yeah.
But I mean, this is the thing we talk about. We have to have we have to have 2 or 3 bedroom homes and stuff like that. These things could be easily put together. They don't cost that much, and again, you can stack them. What do you reckon?
Well, I don't know if I'd like to be on the 17th the 17th container going up.
But I'm just saying, it's just we look at options, and here's someone that's going, I've got an option here, and he's just get thrown,
Michael, one of the big problems that I see at the moment is that there are so many problems. We want an answer to a problem when holistically the issue is much, much bigger. Okay, so we know that we have a lack of housing, and not even affordable housing, but the market will always talk. We have a lack of housing, and anything that is rare, when you think about it, diamonds, really, why do you pay that much money for them? Because they're rare. Anything that is rare will always cost you more money. If you've got something that's bog ordinary, it won't. So the problem we've got is, and I think that we always go looking for an answer, but more and more I've seen it, and being in radio and media for such a long period of time, you hear all the news, you see things come and go, and you go, okay, all they're focusing on now is we don't have enough housing. Okay, but why don't we look at why we don't have enough housing? Okay, and you talk about the red tape. You've got situations where, again, the 2 levels of government, the state may want something, but the local council may not. The local council may want something, but the state government doesn't want something. And then everything it's like that pebble in a pond. You drop it in and it echoes out. And we need more housing. How long does it take to happen? What is the red tape? How do we have enough people to build the houses? Can they afford it? And that's the problem. there always seems to be like a stopgap. This is our problem, but no one ever wants to address what has caused that problem. It's like having a flood. Think about it. It's like having a flood in Newcastle, but we've had no rain. Okay, well, we've had a flood. Okay, but it hasn't rained. Yeah, but it's rained up in the mountains. That's the cause of this. Mm-hmm. But too many people, I don't think they don't want to look at that.
I'll go one step further. Controversially, do you feel that there's too many people coming into the country which has caused this, which has been it's out there in the media and people protesting
and look, and I think so. You've got a situation where it's not just inherent to Australia. You've got a situation now right around the world where economies have got to grow, because if economies don't grow, then tax money doesn't come in. And that's the problem. And personal opinion only, this is only Todd Sergeant's opinion. And I'm the son of an immigrant. My dad was English. Yep. So I'm the son of an immigrant. So I'm all for immigration. Yep. I'm all for immigration. But at the end of the day, if you got no houses, then what do you do? And I think it was like that protest a couple of weeks ago, and I was really critical of the media. Most of the media, they go, "Oh, there's a rally against immigration." No, it wasn't. It was a rally against mass immigration. And when you've got people who can't get houses, you need to stop, no matter what it is. If you are doing something and things aren't working out, you need to stop and just take a beat and turn around and go, okay, we need to look at this. So, yeah, as I said, I'm not anti-immigration, but at the end of the day, and I don't generally like to get overly controversial generally when I'm on the air, but, I'm lucky. I've got a house. But, you look at some of the prices. What do they say in the next 5 years, the median house price in Sydney might be $2 million? Mm-hmm. How the heck do you do that? Mm-hmm. And you can only have so many demountables in that situation. Then you got the red tape of there's no simple answer.
Tired of missing out on the best properties? Stop searching, start winning. At Optimum Buyers Agency, we work for you, not the seller. We negotiate harder, we move faster, we find the homes others don't. Off-market deals, smart strategy, real results. Whether it's your first home or your forever home, we make it happen. Optimum Buyers Agency, your edge in a competitive market. Driverless vehicles.
Yeah.
You a fan? Would you get in one?
Yeah, I would. I would, as a matter of fact.
You love these, right?
Waymo. Yeah.
Yep.
The thing is, this is obviously not Australia, because if this was Australia, I'd call it Damo, right? That's if I would make sure, or Jono.
No, it could be Wayno.
Wayno, no. Well, you got to change it. No, Damo. I think Damo's better. Look, I am fascinated. I love the idea of autonomous vehicles. Like I like driving, but around town and stuff like that, I don't really care. I would love to experience it. I've got a friend who was recently in.
Is that your tech guy?
Yeah, Stephen Fennick from techguide.com.au. He was in San Francisco, and he said it was fantastic. And basically, you use the app because everything's on the app, and it pulls up and it gives you a code, and then you put the code in, and then the doors unlock. So you can't just go and steal someone's ride. Sure, I suppose you could just hold a gun to their head and jump in and give us the code. But no, you give the code, you get in, and it takes you. It tells you where it's taking you and that kind of situation. He said it was fantastic.
But would you be worried? I mean, in regards to an intersection, or what if it's wet weather? The weather may with all the sensors.
I don't think I'd be overly cool flying down a highway or an expressway doing 110 k's an hour. Hoping that it doesn't just freak out. Like it's such. You know what it's like when you lose mobile phone reception. And, you're flying down the expressway at 110 k's and all of a sudden you got a black spot. I
wouldn't like them to be going around the car park at Waratah Shopping Village. That would be an experience in a driverless car.
Yeah, look, well, see, they're the things that I don't understand. And I want to know who's responsible. Like, there was a situation, I did a story on the show a month or so ago, and it was a Waymo vehicle. And apparently it chucked a Yui over double lines. And the police have gone after it. right? And they've pulled it over. Here's what I don't understand. How did they pull it over? Right? Because at the end of the day, like, is there something in the police car? Is there something in the Waymo vehicle that says if you see red and blue
We'll
lights?
put the road spikes down.
Well, no, they didn't. They've pulled it over, and then the cops have got, how they pulled it over, I don't know. But what they did was they've gone over, well, who do we give the ticket to? And that's the thing. Who's responsible? If you get run over by a Waymo car, is it the company? Is it the car manufacturer? You know, these we're heading into a brave new worlds that we don't know how it's going to work out, but there will be a time. I love the idea of having a car. So say, for example, you're driving a distance, Sydney to Melbourne or Sydney to Wagga or Gold Coast or Brisbane. I love the idea of just getting in a car and letting it do it. I'm happy to sit there and just watch the world go by.
Isn't that the fun of driving?
Yeah, that wears thin after a while.
Yeah, probably.
But
net zero.
Yeah.
We're going after all the issues here, aren't we?
Yeah.
Your thoughts on that?
I think,
are we getting conned?
Yeah, I think we are getting conned. I really do think we're getting conned. And I think
You do believe there is climate change?
Yeah, I want to be serious about climate change. I don't believe we can chop down as many trees as we are, have as many people as we have now, and not expect the world to go, whoa, hang on a minute, because I believe there is a healthy balance. Now, just like the human body, the planet is amazing. It's very resilient. It's very robust. It's always going to try and keep up. But I don't believe, and I use these two simple things. You can't cut down as many trees, have as many people on the planet, and not expect to have problems. Okay? So I do believe in climate change. Again, it's a personal opinion only, but I do believe net zero is a con. And I'll give you an example. You talk about driverless cars, and there's a belief that I am anti-electric cars. I'm not anti-electric cars. What I'm anti is people not having conversations about things. So I'll give you an example. I had a friend who had a Tesla, and he was going, and I think they're a great-looking car. Some of the electric cars are really sexy cars, but his thing was, oh look, this is just perfect for the environment. And I've gone, yeah, but mate, where did the elements for the battery come from? What do we do with the battery when it dies? And they're conversations that people don't want to have. You know what I said to you, like, you talk about affordable housing. Okay, here's our problem now. Okay, but what's led to that? And I think with net zero, I'm not a scientist, I'm just a dumb DJ. But I look at that and I go, okay, he didn't want to have the conversation. This is clean and green. And I said, yeah, but what about the petrochemicals and the plastic in the vehicle? What about any lubrication that may be in there? So I get, and I don't know if I put a picture up on my Facebook page. I was having a walk the other morning, and I'm walking up a hill, and here's an electric bus with a 6x4 box trailer with a diesel generator on it, topping up the battery. So the problem I have with it, I think electric vehicles are great. I don't think they're the answer. I think they're a stepping stone, but I think governments are pushing it because there are agendas. I believe there are kickbacks, and that's the problem I have. And the same thing with net zero is, I personally believe, and I've said this on air, I believe there's a place for solar, there's a place for wind, but I also believe we should build a brand new coal-fired power station. You think about it, we've got a housing issue where people can't get houses. We've got a high rate of immigration, yet the renewables aren't doing what they're supposed to do. So I believe another coal-fired power station, and I honestly believe, and this could lose me some listeners and you some viewers, we need to explore nuclear.
You feel that, I mean, that's what Dutton did, he was talking about in regards to the election that he lost. And it was almost to the point where it was a scaremongering tactic. As soon as you hear the word nuclear, people
you think of
nuclear bomb.
Yeah, you think of Chernobyl, you think of 5 Mile Island, that kind of thing. We've had a nuclear reactor in Australia for a long number of years, Lucas Heights at Sydney. Now, it's not a power generator, but it creates radioactive isotopes for medicine and things along those lines. Yeah, you do. And one thing I'll say that the pro net zero lobby have got, it is fear. And, things have changed a heck of a lot since, Chernobyl and that kind of thing. The problem I have is the broader conversation. So you hear people turn around and say, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. I believe in 2025, a conspiracy theorist is someone who just asks a question. And we've gone from a country, and I believe we've gone from a world where you could ask a question, but the minute you just ask a question, you're a denier. Mm-hmm. And that's the problem. You're a climate denier, you're a this denier, you're a that denier. So no. And getting back to net zero, the situation I have is no one wants to have that conversation about, okay, we go and put up all these wind farms. How much concrete is used? What do we do with the turbine blades once they've worn out? We can't recycle them. So where are they going? And I believe that and I've got to give it to that side of it. They've got such an amazing agenda that the minute you question it, they don't want to hear about it because all they see, again, is the final outcome. People go, oh, it's clean and green. Yeah, but. Do
you find that the coalition, the Libs and the Nationals, they're in a bit of even it was in the news today regarding what they do going forward, whether they, water down their issues with net zero or whether they just go, no. I mean, the Nationals believe they should just scrap it. And
it's
half
never
the
going
Libs
to work.
do and half the Libs don't.
Yeah, it's never going to work. We're being sold a lie. And I think, unfortunately, in this day and age, what happens is that people double down on things, even when they know it is not working. And I personally feel, and if I disappear, like the critic, I don't believe our government is calling the shots. The government is being controlled by, and I'm not being New World Order, but the government is being told what to do. And I think that they know, but they can't not be a part of it now. And the big problem we've got is, look, I don't have kids, but I've got niece and great niece and family and stuff like that. I want a world for everyone to have a good life. Mm. But when you think about it, and let's just take carbon emissions now. Australia is getting to a stage where our standard of living is dropping. Like, think about our power bills. We are paying the price to do something that I personally believe is a flawed outcome, okay? There's money being made behind the scenes, yet you've got other countries that don't care. So basically, our standard of living is being hammered, and our kids and our grandkids can't afford power. And you've got other countries going, no, we're not interested. But there seems to be just some virtue signalling around it. And I don't know what the outcome totally is.
Well, even Bill Gates, he did an about-face this week, didn't he? Saying he believes that climate change won't change civilization, and he said it will not lead to humanity's
No, he has
demise.
also come out and said that people will live and thrive in many parts of the planet. And that's a story I did the other day too. It was buried on page 3. Like at some stage, and Bill Gates has been all in on this. He's wanted us to eat insects and bugs and plankton and fungi, but it was buried on page 3. You think that would be a screaming headline on the front page of whatever paper or whatever news service.
You love your flying.
I do love flying, yeah.
What got you into that? What's the fascination there?
I always wanted to fly. I wanted to join the Royal Australian Air Force when I was a kid, but I was lazy and mathematics was an issue. And as you can imagine, being a fat kid who can't add 2 + 2, you don't mean to fight a plane. Like at the end of the day.
If you're a fat kid, the plane, if you're on one side, they're just going around.
Yeah, I would. Yeah. Attack, I can't. I'm like Halley's Comet.
but I mean, you've got into it. You've learned how to fly.
Yeah.
There's a picture of I think one of the. There you go. Was that the sort of what you learnt in? Something like that?
Yes, I think I actually might have soloed in that aircraft. I think.
Well, I think we might even.
Todd's first flight. Oh yeah. So,
were you shitting bricks?
Okay, so yeah. So what happens is, if I can, do you want me to tell you what's happening here?
Yeah.
So basically, what happens, and when you learn to fly, what happens is you go through the training and you do circuits and it's repetition. But at some stage, what happens is you know that you're going to be sent solo. So what's happening here, and if Dave, can you just pause that for me so I'll explain, so I'm not telling you what to do. But basically what happens is you reach a stage where your instructor is going to send you solo.
Yep.
And you are so bored with doing circuits that you want to go solo, but you are so bricking it that you don't want to go. And you get a bit of an idea. And I was very lucky. This was a June day. It was a beautiful day. And then what happens is your instructor will turn around and they'll come in and you'll do, generally what they want you to do is show that you are competent with 3 takeoffs, landings, and you do everything correctly in the circuit. Okay, and then you kind of know. So what happened in this situation, this is the Royal Newcastle Aero Club, Phil Unicum, a good mate of mine and my instructor. What a tremendous flying instructor. And what happened was he goes, do you want to go solo? And really the only thing you can say is yes. Because if you turn around and go, oh, I don't know, I'm giving it consideration of that's not going to make him feel overly. So you've just got to go yes.
Did you feel like you were right? You feel like you were ready?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, well, you're never quite ready, but you just got to give it a go.
Was it up to him to decide that?
Yes. Yeah.
You couldn't go, I think I'm ready?
No flying instructor. Like at the end of the day, because you'd have someone come along and go, oh, look, I've got an hour and a half experience. I think I'm right to go. All right, no worries. Tally ho.
Well, that's what I was going to do.
Yeah, well, it might not work out that way. But no, and that's, you think about some jobs that are very, very, have a big responsibility factor to them. You think of a flying instructor, you've got to make the call that person is right. Because one of the things they say, takeoffs are optional, landings are mandatory.
Because this was also too, you really took the listeners on a journey with this, didn't you?
Yeah.
In regards to, they were with you every step of the way in your development and your learning of this.
Yeah, what we did was Captain Phil Unicum, he would come in, have Flying Thursday, and we'd keep people up to date with what's happening. And one of the things that I wanted to be really honest and open about was I didn't want to just show them all the good stuff. Okay, like, oh, look at me, how fantastic I am. I wanted to show them warts and all. And, there were times where you'd be flying and you're there with the instructor and you just got nothing. You'd be coming in and it might be a little bit bumpy and you're tired and, the instructor's always there with you. But I wanted to make sure that my journey of learning to fly was genuine. So people didn't turn around and go, oh, look at Todd, he's I wanted to show them the days that I made mistakes, the days that I couldn't get my head around it.
Yeah.
And I think I wanted to be genuine about it because I didn't want someone potentially. I started to learn to fly when I was 49. I don't want someone to turn around and go, oh, gee, Todd had no problems. I wanted to make sure that, they saw the good and the bad. Warts and all, absolutely.
You want to keep it going? You might have to spool it through. It goes a while, doesn't it?
Yeah, you did. So basically what's happening now is we're down the end of the runway. Phil is saying to me, look, are you ready to go? And he's running through what you do and you don't do. So he's going, look, you only ever do one circuit. You don't do more than one circuit. But he's saying, hey, listen, if you see anything you don't like, don't put up with it. So if you're coming into land and there's a problem or whatever, just go around.
Yep.
So
here we go.
Yeah.
Get out of there. All right. As soon as you see something that doesn't suit you, mate, don't put up with it. Okay, gotcha. All right.
So you'll notice with me,
Bill, thank you very much.
very rarely do I say short, sharp words.
Yes. You could tell you were nervous.
Oh, absolutely.
Weight-wise on your own. Okay. This little experiment, okay? Now you're going to lock that door. I won't forget to lock the door. All right, thank you, sir.
I tell you a funny story.
Well, here we go. Bill has gotten out. I'm soloing.
Bill.
Okay, I'm making sure everything is set. Everything is
Captain
okay.
Bill.
We may as well do it. Here we go.
So right about now, my heart rate's probably up around 160 beats a minute. But it's a beautiful day. So one of the great parts about it was the day there wasn't
Clear as a bell.
clear as a bell. It was a beautiful
That's
winter's
you.
day.
I am a mite nervous, as you would imagine, but wow, what an exciting feeling.
Yeah, Bill's gotten
You know,
out.
for someone who's always wanted to do this all my life. Wow, I can't believe it. I am in
So there's
control of this
Bill
at
over
the
there
palm of
walking
my
back.
This was a big moment for you in your life.
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah,
it?
absolutely. Very proud. And I
Maitland traffic, Cessna 172 Romeo November X-ray is rolling runway 26 for solo circuit. Maitland traffic.
Here we go.
yeah. You're expecting me to roll off the runway and burst into flames.
Airspeed is alive.
Here we go.
Yeah, I'm in the air, mate. I'm already that.
Traffic Cessna 152 Romeo November, Quebec is turning base for runway 26.
So yeah, no, it's
We have climb attitude.
Is it more the landing you're worried about?
yeah. Look, takeoffs are easier than landings. So yeah, you're coming in. You got to make sure your speed is right. You got to make sure that you're keeping everything on the center line and stuff like that. So
There's a good picture of you too, in your flight equipment, looking like the pilot.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Is that the sort of person you'd want to?
Yeah. No, actually, it's a bit of
Flying
a it's a bit of a side hustle I've got. I'm starting my own airways, Guido Airways, and
I thought you were an extra on Hogan's Heroes there.
no. Well, we fly down to South America quite regularly, but yeah. Thank you for
Picking up
flying.
parcels?
Yeah, thank you for flying Air Guido. We realise you have a choice in your flying, but we appreciate. Yeah,
I've got to say, I've been in a Cessna, and
but you won't come for a fly with me. You've told me you won't.
I did. I won't because I was a bit frightened of the time. But I went over Dubbo.
What do you mean?
No,
So you don't trust me,
I
do
like
you?
I like a big airplane. I don't like the little ones because to me, the big airplane. I just think if you have a crash, there's a chance that you survive.
Take everyone else with you.
I just think you got no chance when you're in these little things. Or you just hit the ground.
How do you feel about it, Dave? Would you? Oh, the fact that you've got a pause and the fact that you've looked at the ceiling. Okay, well, neither of you will come for a fly then. No, too late.
I wouldn't rule it out. I'm not a great flyer though.
Well, what makes a great flyer?
Oh, just not that comfortable in the plane sometimes.
I'd always want the
bit big,
back back
You all right?
Bit tall.
Oh, yeah,
But
you are a
it's-
bit pelican-y, aren't you?
Yeah.
But the back seats are the best because obviously you never heard of a plane reverse into a mountain.
No, true.
But when I went over Dubbo or near Dubbo. Oh no, it might have been near Mudgee. It was a canola field that that was what I saw. You're seeing some great stuff.
You do see some great stuff, yeah. Yeah, you do. Oh, yeah, the interesting part about it is the passengers get a better view because you're concentrating all the time.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when you're flying, you're looking at the instruments, especially if you're doing a cross-country navigation. So when you learn to fly and when you get your private pilot license, you're not allowed to use technology. You're not allowed to use ForeFlight or Oz Runways. You've got to do your stuff on paper maps.
Yeah.
Because at some stage that technology could, you follow the magenta line.
Yeah.
So when you're doing a cross country, you're continually monitoring the aircraft. Okay, am I on course? Because you think about it, you might be, say for example, you've got a heading of 90 degrees. So say for example, 090, you're coming back from Dubbo, so east, pretty much 90 degrees is east, straight back. So it's all very well to set. Be looking at the compass and go, okay, I'm on track. But the problem is, the aircraft could be going, you're on track, but you're going at 90 degrees, but you're moving across. So you've always got to be checking waypoints to make sure that you plot on a map that you go from this waypoint to that waypoint to the other waypoint, because there are so many things that are happening. So it's the passengers that generally get the chance to have a look. And you're just concentrating, you're making sure everyone's happy, but you're keeping an eye on this, making sure that all the equipment's working, fuel, oil pressure.
When you're flying, do you have a separate section for women?
Julia Morris. No, I don't. No, I don't. So you're trying to rope me in.
What about dogs?
I would
pets.
I would no. I love dogs, so I'd be more than. I got some friends who fly with their dogs, and they put little headphones on them to protect their hearing. You're laughing, but they do. Yeah, no, I think it's very cool. Yeah, but no, you're not going to leave me down that.
Come on.
No.
I've nearly got you.
I can say enough
the
to
hook's
get
in
me.
your mouth. Come
Yeah,
on.
look, I can say enough to get me cancelled anyway, but I don't want to go down there. So, look, I love flying, and for anyone who, and it's a metaphor for anything. It's never too late in life to try something, and you hear people, and I've had so many people come to me and go, "I could never do that." It's like, yes, you can. It's a learned skill. You know what I mean? Very rarely is any, and you know what? I will never be as good a pilot as my instructor, Phil Unicum. I will never probably be as good a pilot as 18, 19 and 20-year-olds who are coming around now. But the people, I could never do that. You can do it. Everything is a learned skill. And that's the thing. And I think the people limit themselves. And it's too easy to say, I could never do that. well, that gives you get out of jail free card. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
so.
That's pretty soon you'll be doing the flights over Saturday mornings, won't you, around the beaches?
Yeah, summertime will roll
You do
around.
it solo?
No, and the reason we don't do it solo is a safety factor.
Right.
Everything you do in aviation is safety. And the last thing that I want to do is, and technically I could, because I could be flying along and memorizing, like I'm looking at you in your eyes, I could be, hey, it's Saturday morning, blah, 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 tide, so-and-so and so-and-so. But it's about safety, and I've got things that I need to look at.
Yeah.
So when I'm doing the beach and surf and weather report, I'll hand the aircraft over to Captain Phil, because safety is imperative. And you want to make sure that, and you don't want someone going, oh, okay, well, you're concentrating on flying while you're doing that. No, it's always safety first.
You got that's apart from flying. I just want to know what got you into radio. Because again, were you someone that just loved music, or was it?
No, I'm a phony baloney. I got mates. I'm a pretender. I'm an absolute pretender. I'm a wannabe. I've got mates who got into radio, and you'd get together with them, and they go, "Oh, when I was 7 years of age, I built myself this little radio studio, and I pretended to be a DJ." And what about you, Todd? No, I lived at Taro. I worked at McDonald's, and if you live in Newcastle, you'll know a gentleman by the name of Gavin Morris, who's the newsreader and news and weather guy for Channel 9. Gavin lived in a suburb close to me. I lived in Taro. He lived at Woodbury. It's all around the same area, western parts of Newcastle. And we worked at McDonald's Hexham. And one day we were on the grill making the Big Macs and things like that. I was crew member of the month, March 1983. Just saying, still got the little trophy. You might have seen my picture on the wall.
I think it's still up on the wall now.
It is still, yeah.
I think there's a few gherkins that have been thrown at it since.
Pickles. See, that's why you could never get a job at Macca's. They're pickles.
Okay, rightio.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, moving backwards, I was saying to Gavin one day, hey, what are you doing? Blah, blah. He said, I'm going to radio school. And I said, oh, this is very, very interesting, because my dad was a bricklayer. Okay, tough job. You're a tradie as well as, you're really an amazing individual, because you carry so many. You're a journo, you're a TV journo, you're a storyteller, you're a podcaster.
I'm really just a carpet layer.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
No,
but what
you're
about
not.
bricklayers? Their hands.
Yeah.
Your dad's hands
And your
would have been
knees as
haggard.
well. Yeah. So I saw him, and the thing with being a tradie is, and you'll know it, I suppose the difference is, the bricklayer's job is really tough, because the minute you get some rain, all bets are off. There's no roof on the place, so you're the first line. So I'd say it was a tough gig, and it was tough on the body. And I remember when I was a youngster going, I want a job where I can possibly meet girls and I won't get my hands dirty. I'm thinking radio. There's got to be a gig like that.
Well, it wasn't happening at McDonald's, obviously.
No, it wasn't happening at McDonald's. No. So I was talking to Gavin Morris one day, and he said, I'm doing radio school. And I've gone, oh, tell me more. And basically he said, look, I want to get into radio. I'd like to be an announcer, DJ, call it what you will, presenter. And he was going to a radio school at Radio 2 HD. And I picked his brain. I thought this would be a really cool career, because, I did love music, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I thought it would be cool. And if you remember the TV series WKRP in Cincinnati, I thought, well, that looks all very, very cool. And anytime you see a radio studio on television, it looks cool, doesn't it?
Yep.
Like, what a cool job. So I went to the same radio school. I did a couple of radio schools. I'd left school in year 10, and what happened was I'd been working at Steggles, and if you live in Newcastle, it's the chicken processing plant at Beresfield.
Seems to be a theme regarding where you worked. There was a lot of food outlets. It was McDonald's, Steggles.
Yeah,
was
but
it
I
Pizza
didn't-
Hut too?
Yeah, I worked at Pizza Hut
So
too.
it's another food.
Yeah, but
if you get KFC, you've got the golden.
No, I got knocked back. I got rejected from the Colonel. And I'm still haven't got over it. Yeah, no, we don't want your type around here.
So you don't know the secret herbs and spices, do you?
If I did, it would be all over the internet. Maybe that's why they didn't give it a job. This guy's going to go and send our business down. But anyway, so I'd been working at Steggles, and I'd left school, and I left school in year 10. And I can still remember it was the night before my 18th birthday, and we, back in the days when the phone was on the wall, and I still remember I got a phone call, and it was Gavin. And Mum answered the phone, and Gavin said, look, because Gavin had gotten a job at 2NX in Newcastle. He was something that was called the cart boy. And basically that was just the entry-level position. So you do things like all the ads that were played in the studio. And if you don't know what carts are, if you ever watch Frasier, right? And if you...
Dave knows Dave knows
How do you
exactly
know?
what's going on.
How do you know what carts are, Dave? How old are you?
35. But many years ago, I did a little.
You've had a
bit
hard life,
of-
haven't you?
a little bit of work experience at New FM.
Yeah,
back in like
and they had carts.
They
Back
had
then?
carts. I didn't
Yep.
use them, but they were definitely still on the walls.
Yeah.
But
Do
for
you-
the listener,
Yeah.
please-
Do you know how they work?
No. So
Okay,
please.
so basically, is this? Have we got time to go
Go.
into this? So basically, when you would listen to ads on the radio station, so you imagine you'd have one ad after another ad after another ad. Okay, so what would happen is, you know, like a cassette you would have in your car, and it was one side then the other. Well, what a cart did, it was a continuous loop. So my role as the cart boy, all the ads would come into the building on reel to reel. And then what I would have to do is I'd have to transfer them from reel to reel onto a cart so that when you're in the studio, so you'd have a log in front of you. So say, for example, you were on the air and you turned around and you had, I don't know, a Coca-Cola ad, a Henny Penny ad and a Holden ad. So what you'd do, you'd go, okay, well, Coca-Cola's ad number 1, boom, you'd put it in the cart machine. Henny Penny's number 37 and the Holden 67. You put it in and you put one in after the other. So what you do is when you went to the ad break, you'd press the button. So it would start playing. And then you'd put an electric pulse on it that one would fire after another after another. So my job was to take the ads from reel to reel and put them onto carts. So which is really cool. I also got to, sometimes we were still playing vinyl.
So where was this at?
This is a 2NX.
2NX. So,
Yeah.
so more or less Gav got you the job.
Yeah,
to go
yeah,
to
he was
2NX.
moving on. So he said to me, he said, are you interested? And I'm like, yeah. So he said, you need to be in 2NX the next morning to meet the general manager, who has basically been a mentor of mine. You know the man, John McGann.
Is this in Hunter Street?
Yeah, 770 Hunter Street in Newcastle. And John was the general manager. And I can still remember going in and I was sweating bullets. I was just sweating bullets. And that's where it went. So basically my 18th birthday, I got my first job in radio and never went back to Steggles, as you'd imagine. It was going to be touch and go, radio, Steggles,
absolutely.
hanging chickens, playing music. It's touch and go, but I went that way. So I was very lucky that I started at 2NX.
But how did you ended up going to Cooma? Was that-
Long way around. I was an anomaly. I was very rarely, if you know anything about radio, you've got to do your apprenticeship, and generally you have to go to the bush. So I wasn't a presenter at 2NX. I was just the cart boy.
So you had to leave there to earn your stripes.
Well, no, I didn't. I was very, very lucky. I just weekend after weekend after weekend, I practiced, and and then I got the opportunity to go to Muswellbrook because 2NM was part of the 2SM network. So you had 4IP, Stereo 10 in Brisbane, 2NX in Newcastle, 2SM in Sydney, 3XY in Melbourne. But we're owned by the Catholic Church. Wow. I can tell you a funny story about that if I can digress.
Yeah.
I was in the studio one night and I'm sitting there and I'm ferreting around and back in the day there were all kinds of magazines in the radio studio. No need to say any more. And I'm ferreting around and then I'm reaching up the back and I come across this cart and it's this dusty cart and it's the Pope death cart. So the deal was we were owned by the Catholic Church. So, which think about it, it was a rock and roll radio station, sex, drugs and rock and roll. And the Catholic Church owned the hottest contemporary top 40 radio station. But every station had the Pope death cart. So you've gone from playing, Bon Jovi, Living on a Prayer, and then you got to throw this thing in because the Pope's died. And one night what I did was I thought, I wonder what this sounds like. Right? No one had touched it because it had been ferreted away. I think it was Pope John Paul II.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I've gone, I'm going to have a listen to it.
So it's a prepared
Yeah, and it was
spiel.
Yeah, it was. You'd have organ music. It is
Yeah,
a deep regret that we announce the passing of His Holiness. Blah 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 blah. But what happened was, I wanted to hear what it sounded like. And there's, when you get the devil and the angel on your shoulder, and you think, it's like, don't do it, don't do it, do it. So what I've done, I've put it in the cart machine, but it was so old. When you'd have a cassette player in your car. And you'd be flying along one day and you'd throw your favourite cassette in and all of a sudden...
And you pull it out.
And you'd pull it out and you'd go like... So I've thrown the Pope death card in, right? And I've put it down on cue to have a listen to it. I've pressed it, and all I heard was number.
Well, that'd be handy when he died.
Well, what I've done, I've gone, what do I do? Because you're not supposed to play it. The deal was you don't play it unless it happens.
But you've done him a favour by saying it's no good.
Well, I wrecked it. So what I did was I thought I can do one of two things. I can fess up and we can get it done again, or I can just pull it out, shove it back where I found it.
You did it again, didn't you?
No, I didn't. I left it. So my theory was the next poor person had to play it. It was rooted.
But it's actually true because even in the television stations, they have like a section pre-prepared because you remember if Queen Elizabeth dies, it could be
you got to be able to roll.
It could be within the actual news going to air.
Yep.
They have it ready, and it's not just her. All these famous people.
The death list.
Yeah, it's almost like it has to be ready to go as soon as it happens because something like that takes nearly a day just to put together.
Well, you know what, and this is we're letting radio secrets out now, but it's obviously TV secrets as well. So we have, it's a bit like we call it coffee break, where we have a snapshot of an artist, okay, their career and whatever. And what I do every year, I look at the people who I think are about to fall off the twig.
Yep.
So I'm like the purveyor of death.
Yep.
I'm
the
like
Grim Reaper.
I'm the Grim Reaper. Give me a sickle and a gown, and I'm out there. And what I do every year, I go, oh, he's not doing well. Yeah, I don't think he's long for the war. So what I do is I get some of my team just to fix the end of it, so that if someone dies on the day, we're there.
Yep.
And Joe Bloggs passed away sadly at the age of we don't mention the age, but yeah, every year I feel bad now. I really feel bad that I'm foretelling
Well, I got to say,
doom and death
I've got to
for
say,
famous people.
Casey Kasem's still sounding really good.
He does, yep.
Considering he's pushing up
Yeah,
daisies.
but here's the kicker. If you listen to 2NURFM and Casey Kasem's American Top 40, but we have people ring up all the time and they go, why are you still playing that? He's dead. And I've gone, do you listen to John Lennon? I don't understand why, you'll watch movies where people have passed away or you'll listen to music, but you can't handle the fact that someone's, and it's a historical thing. But
so when you're in the business, how hard is it to put the needle on the record?
you don't do it anymore.
I know that.
But no, it's not hard. When we first started, very rarely would you play albums in the studio. So think about it this way. Cast your mind back to, the time when I started. So you generally had singles. So you'd have a record, and I don't, with newer, 7-inch single. So what you do, you'd have them in the studio or you'd take them out of the library. And what you do, you'd take them out of the cover, you'd put them on the turntable, you'd get something called Groove Glide, which was a cleaner, and you'd clean it, and then you had to put a record weight on it. And then you'd put the needle on and you'd play it until you heard the start of the song, then you'd press stop, and then you'd wind it back a quarter of a turn. So generally radio stations would use Technics direct drive turntables. So you'd have to take the single back a quarter of a turn. Otherwise, if you had it right at the start, you'd press a button and so you'd have to do that. And when I first got into radio, I loved the romance of being a DJ, a disc jockey. You were, and I never ever thought I'd see the day. When I first got into radio, if you'd have said to me, Todd, one day you'll go into the studio and there will not be a record or a cart or a reel-to-reel, I would have gone, you're joking. You're joking. You are absolutely joking. And I've gone through the whole genesis of different formats. So I'll tell you a funny story. You're too young for it, Dave, but you'd know about it. There used to be a place in Newcastle called Harbourside Hire. Remember that?
Yes.
Okay. And what they did, they hired CDs, right? So you could rent CDs. Now you're thinking, when CDs first came out, people they were indestructible. The whole thing was, CDs are indestructible. No, they're not. And Harbourside Hire, you could hire CDs. And when the first CDs came out, because it was such a big thing, and when you're on the air, you'd be like, hey, 2NX, Stereo 1341, and Bon Jovi on CD. Boom, and you'd hit it. But the first CD player we had was a Sony Discman. And it was one of so no one was giving us CDs. So what we used to do, we used to go down to Harbourside Hire and hire them, right? And every time Dick O'Harry's bought them, scratched them, used them as a coaster. So I still remember, and we used to do classic albums. And then late one night, I forget the artist that we're doing, but we had might have been Dire Straits, a classic Dire Straits album. And I was in there doing my big radio announcer spiel, Todd Sergeant on 2NX, and it's Friday night album cuts, blah, 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 off CD, here's Dire Straits. And I've hit the button, and all I've heard is... And I'm just... back after the break, and because it had a massive scratcher. And then another time I was in there, I've got too heavy-handed. I've gone, you're doing my big radio announcer voice thing, 2NX stereo 1341. Here's Bon Jovi, and I've hit the button, and it's flown straight off the top of the desk and dropped on the floor and sprung open. So we went from playing singles to CD. And now everything's computerized. And as I said to you, if you said to me in 1986, one day you will walk in and all you will have is screens, I would have gone, you kidding yourself?
This isn't just a gym. It's where limits get broken. A place where community comes together, sweat turns into strength, and every drop is progress. No excuses, no egos, just results. Join Fitstop Newcastle today, a start to a better you.
We'll talk about this in a minute. I did a radio show on 2NURFM called Football Frenzy.
And what a great show it was.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second.
Do we have to? Hey, Dave, edit that bit out.
We'll scrap that bit.
Right, just.
But before that, I was doing some stuff for CHRFM up in Cessnock.
Yes, that's not community radio station.
Still going.
Yep.
And back then, it was very...
You would have been a bit of a big thing up there, wouldn't
very
you?
primitive. Anyway, I was doing something with Ross Allen. It was a sports show on a Saturday morning. I think he left 2HD and he was doing something up there. So it was my foot in the door of radio, just to see how it worked. But anyway, they said to me once, and I was sitting in with another guy. His name was Parsons. He was a counsellor for Cessnock years ago. He was the breakfast announcer.
Yeah.
Sat in with him. Anyway, they said to me, the guy that does the 3-hour country music show is sick this weekend. He's not going to be available. Do you want to do it? And I said, how easy is this? But I'm going,
Caney's Country. Oh, fantastic.
I went to a shop and bought the 30 best country music. It was on a double CD, and I just went in there and I just played it.
Yeah.
At the end of it, they were going, can we get rid of this old fogey and just keep you on? Because we love that mix of stuff. And all I did was, I'm a one-trick pony. I could only do this once.
Yeah.
I was a fraud.
Reg Lindsay, July, You're a Woman will be played at 6:05 every.
So Dolly Parton, and it had every bit of country.
Yeah. Lights coming over the hill.
Oh, mate, absolutely. But they loved it.
Hey, can I tell you a story about coming into a radio station? One thing that radio people are generally pretty lazy, okay? But one thing that would strike fear into the heart of broadcasters was when a casual would come into the marketplace. Because generally a casual would come in, it might be over Christmas, people are away, and
they white ant?
They do, they white ant. So what would happen is you've been lazy as all get out, and then all of a sudden this casual who's dead keen for a job and might have come out of Sydney or whatever, hits town. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, you've seen it. And what happens is all of a sudden, and they come in and they say the same thing, oh no mate, I'm just in town for a couple of weeks, but they are after your job.
I think this happens with the ABC too. If someone's sick, it's almost like we're not going to bring someone in. Your program's just going to go for an extra couple of hours, and you can reel yours back a couple of hours because we don't want.
Yeah, that's it.
Johnny come lately coming in.
You don't want the new kid in town coming in. Johnny come lately. There's a new kid in town, and you're out.
Just with your career as well. You were on. Was it?
Can I just go back before
you?
Can you
reel
hold
it back.
that? Can I just reel it back? Because I've got this really funny story. My very first night on the air, there was a program called Take 40 Australia.
Yes.
Yeah, everyone knows it. And that used to come in on massive reel-to-reels, okay? And all I had to do, I had to give a time call once between every break. And I only had to say, hang on, take some. 7 words. So what I would have to do is 2 and X and M, it's 14 to 10. That's all I had to say because at 6 o'clock at night, 2NX would broadcast through 2NM in Muswellbrook because we were linked. So you think about that. 2NX and M, it's 14 to 10 or it's, 20 past 11, whatever. And the first night I'm in there, I am just bricking it because that's all I had to say. But what happened was, after about an hour, I'm starting to get really confident. I'm like, oh, hey, look at this. I can do this. Anyway, there was a program on afterwards. And are we allowed to swear on this channel?
Absolutely.
Is we allowed to? Okay, so what happened was I was getting pretty confident by that stage. And then I think at 10 o'clock, there was two guys, Chris Page and Colin Fall, and it was called Jazz Nas. It was just another Sunday night album show. So and they would go through an album. It was a really good show, really good show. Anyway, after that, I'd have to cross to just another Sunday night album show. Anyway, for some unknown reason, Colin was in the building. And what had happened was I was getting lazy by this stage. I've queued it up. So what you would do when you would, and I don't know whether TV is the same, but you'd know from audio. So if you've got something, you might turn around and go, okay, guys, just another Sunday night album show for the 14th of February, Sunday night, the 14th of February, following in 5, 4, 3, and then you go silent. And then you cue it up at that. So what happened was Colin and Chris were doing this Sunday night album show. And of course, I've queued it up and I've heard them go, because my nickname was Bilko when I first started at the radio station because of Sergeant Bilko, the TV show back from the 60s and 70s. Yep. Anyway, so I'm queuing it up and so, okay, Bilko, here we go. Just another Sunday night album show for the blah, 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 following in 5, 4, 3. I've gone to, and I'm watching television in the studio at this stage. I'd gotten so lazy on my first night. I'm going, I got this sorted out. I'm watching some big grade movie or something like that. So for some unknown reason, Colin, one of the presenters, was in the building. He was the music director as well. And all of a sudden, all I can hear is these feet pounding up the corridor. The door flies open and Colin has got a look of death on his face. And I'm going, oh, mate, what are you doing here? Do you hear that? Do you hear that? What they'd done, they'd stuffed up the intro. So they've turned around and they've gone, it's Colin and Chris, just another Sunday night album show. We're going to be looking at the new album from so-and-so. And so, this fucking segment's going nowhere. Let's start again. Oh, fuck. All right. In 5. Now, we're talking 1986. And I've just gone, I was like Bart Simpson. Wasn't me. And that was my very first night.
Somehow scrub the tapes so they didn't exist?
Not my problem.
Whoa.
Yeah, so that was my very first night letting expletive. And when you consider it's owned by the Catholic Church, if anyone's going to make the Pope kick the bucket, it's going to be something like that. Where's the Pope cart?
Get that Pope cart out. But just with the, you started with was it NXFM or what was the station it started? The first FM station in Newcastle?
Oh, the first FM station in Newcastle was actually 2NURFM. The first commercial FM station was New FM.
Yeah, but you worked, who was it? You were working with Carol Duncan on a breakfast.
Oh, okay. So what happened was it was NXFM.
That was a spin-off from NX, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, what happened was in about 1990, 2NX had gone classic hits and they decided it wasn't going anywhere.
That's right.
Because 2NX was a music powerhouse until New FM came along.
Yeah.
And
I think John Laws even worked for 2NX at one point.
he worked for KO at some stage. I don't know if he did, but I can tell you an interesting story. Obviously, the quality of FM is amazing compared to AM. And I was working nights, and when New FM started to broadcast, they had test transmissions on. And of course, we were AM and crackle and this and that and the other. And really what happened with the radio station, 2NX kind of gave up before the start. Yeah. And we kind of knew we were dead in the water. When New FM, great sound, it was going to kick ass. And there was one night, and I was doing at that stage 10 till 2. I was doing late nights on 2NX, and we were monitoring New FM in the control room. And we had these massive KEF speakers. If you're an audiophile, you'll know KEF is an amazing brand. And these speakers were pretty much the size of your monitors there. And one night, I was going out to get a cup of coffee, and I knew we were dead. Because I've walked out to the control room and I've gone, I wonder what New FM are playing now. And they were playing Billy Idol, Flesh for Fantasy, just as it rolled into the Steve Stevens guitar solo on these massive KEF speakers. We're dead. We're absolutely dead. So New FM came in.
So what was it? Was it X27 or was
No.
There was something.
So what happened is once New FM started and 2NX they went light and easy.
Yeah.
The whole 2SM network went light and easy. Then they went classic hits 2NX, a little bit of the classic hit station in Canberra, 2CC. But what happened was I'd gone from Newcastle to work in Brisbane, so I was lucky to have I got a job in Brisbane, and I was doing karting up there and doing some casual shifts there. Then I went to Cairns to be the music director for a couple of years, and then I got a job back down in Cooma. I think I was about 23, and I was the program manager of the station. And because Cooma, at that stage, 2NX was owned by a gentleman who's only just passed away in the last couple of weeks, Kevin Blyton, his network. And I got the call, hey, we're making some changes at 2NX. Would you like to come back? And I was like, yeah, it was freezing my ass off in Cooma.
Yeah.
And
It's freezing.
Oh, it is. It's horrendous. So I'm like, I came back. So we were relaunching it. They were taking it from classic hits and we were renaming the station X13.
X13.
And X13. So because 1341 was our call sign. So we knew that we were going to go FM as KO. 2KO was going to go FM. They were 102.9 and we had 106.9. And they tossed a coin to see who was going to get which frequency. So we launched as X13 knowing we would wind up converting to FM.
Yep.
And then that's when we're X107 because they just rounded out.
That's right.
X106.9, X107. And then from there, we went, was renamed, it went from X107 to NXFM. And then we were bought by KO, and that's when you know the drill.
Yeah.
So we'd gone through different name changes and things like that. And I got moved from Drive into the breakfast show, and the rest is history.
Yeah. I mean, what's your future? I mean, you've got one more year left to run on your contract, haven't you?
Well, no. I don't have a contract. I'm a full-time employee. So I don't know. You never can be sure in what's happening. My future, I'll keep doing it as long as I enjoy it, but also as long as, my boss is happy with me, because you've got to be realistic. Things can change. And as long as, I suppose to a certain extent, the listeners want me as well. So whilever I feel that I'm fresh, whilever I feel that I'm not just phoning it in, I'll keep doing it.
Have you got a plan B when you do decide?
Oh, look, I'm going to go to my private island. Look, one of the great parts that radio gives you is amazing opportunities.
Yeah.
And, I'm a public speaker. I go and do corporate speaking events. I do funeral celebrancy.
Then we got a picture. You actually married someone on air, didn't you?
Yeah, well, what was a really great promotion. Gee, look at me. Does that look better from your angle than our angle?
No, it's a big grainy thing. Yeah.
I'm the fat one on the left, not wearing the dress. That's
But this could be your future.
Well, hey, never say never. Watch this space, because the lady that's there on the right hand side, Pauline, she said, "Hey Todd, I've got a really great." She's a marriage celebrant, and we're always looking for fun and exciting promos, because I've done some really cool promos in my life. I did the world's first live to air bungee jump in Cairns.
Wow,
true story.
I'd rather do the plane thing than the bungee jump, to be honest.
Yeah, but you're not going to do either, so it doesn't matter. You're wasting my time. you're such a tire kicker,
Carry on.
Kane.
Carry on.
I have abseiled down the side of a Newcastle hotel in a chicken outfit to raise money for charity. That's got to be somewhere. You won't find it. I've got a picture, but if you can find it, which was a whole lot of fun. There are so many amazing fun promos you get to do, and I've forgotten most of them. But Pauline said to me, "Hey, I've got this really great idea." So we came up with the concept of tie the knot with Todd. You got my name spelt wrong for starters. Yeah, that's all right. Oh, totally. Yeah, SER. There's me there. No, that's not me. I'm joking. No, it's not. You're not going to find it. And the name's still spelt wrong. I've got it on photos at home.
We'll do it for the next time.
Yeah, it's all too hard, because that was the days before social media. Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. I'd be if it came up, I'd be very surprised. But anyway, Pauline said, "Hey, I've got this really great idea," and we came up with a really cool concept to give away a wedding, where we would take care of some prizes. Like we'd take care of the hair, take care of the clothing, hire car, the service. and some other prizes as well, florist and stuff like that. And the people who won it were this really cool young couple who, were just starting out in life, and we managed to give them that start. And I've got to say, I'm not an overly sooky person, but I was having trouble keeping it together because I was doing it. What I couldn't do was I could do the whole ceremony, but when it came to the official side of it, I now pronounce you, blah 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 blah. Pauline had to step in to make sure that was good. Otherwise, I could have done it. And they're not married.
So I reckon he'd be a good celebrant. I mean, funerals. I mean, Paul Lobb, he's doing very well.
Yeah,
doing
absolutely.
that, and he's got a network of people that know who he is. Same thing. It'd be a great transition.
I really enjoyed doing the wedding, and what I liked, I love that interaction. Being in a studio is really great. But one of the things that radio does give you is the ability to think on your feet. Because and I'm not taking the mickey out of TV, but when you've got scripting, you'd know from doing your reports, you've got to remember stuff. But if you've got a teleprompter, that's a little bit easier. But so much of what happens in radio is it's all off the cuff, and you've got to be able to perform. And that's where some of the best TV people are people who have actually come from radio, like your experience in radio. Because if you go straight into TV, and then all of a sudden you're teleprompting, if something goes wrong, you don't have the ability.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that. The worst part about it was I nearly started to cry because I made the mistake of looking at the grandma. And the grandma's tearing up, and I'm starting to tear up. But no, it was lovely. It was lovely to do that.
Just for the funeral sort of thing. You could get the cremation, you get the ashes, go up in the aeroplane.
Oh, what do you...
Because a lot of people like to be spread in the ocean or the water, the beach.
It'd be my luck it'd come back in the cabin.
Well, the problem is it'd probably cover the people laying on the beach.
Well, I don't know what...
You missed the water.
I think you're taking it too far. I'm happy just to go and do the celebrancy. I don't really... I was thinking, I've got to burn them as well. I've got to do everything.
Well, you've got such a following, especially on Facebook. Now, I want to show some of the things that you put up on Facebook that gets massive reaction. The styrofoam esky, where's that? Like... It's almost like it makes people remember back. You find things that make people go, oh, I remember that. I remember the sound of it.
The squeak, yeah.
The squeak, the fact that you really, once you put an ice brick in it, you couldn't put much more.
No, that's exactly
the
right.
bloody thing.
Yeah, no.
Next, a Devon sandwich.
Yeah, who loves Devon? I love Devon.
I don't know, it's processed meat.
Yeah, it's look, I worked in a small goods factory at Steggles, and some of the things you just don't want to. And it was good stuff. I'm here to say, because I don't want a lawsuit from Steggles. I never made Devon. I'm sure there's some questionable, beaks and cheeks and.
But the smell of it too, wasn't it? That fresh bread.
Yeah.
Sauce, but just staying on the sauce. Well, these days you go into a pie shop and you ask for a pie with sauce. They always give you the option now. Go barbecue or tomato.
Well, I'll go a step further. I'll touch on that. Once upon a time, you go into a pie shop and you bought a pie. Now you walk in and it takes you 20 minutes to decide.
Yes.
So that's the hardest part there. You walk in, I'd like a pie. And you're like, oh, Jesus, okay. Yeah, but I don't get the barbecue sauce thing.
But what I want to know is that I've never seen anyone with barbecue sauce on a pie. So should that constitute people even asking the question, there should be an option?
Well, see, there's the problem you've got. It's like, what about a hamburger? Barbecue sauce or tomato sauce? Because I'm a tomato sauce guy.
No, I'm pickles.
Yeah, but
I'm
hardly
old
anyone.
school.
Yeah, that's right. Hardly
that
anyone
used
does
to be
pickles.
stock standard.
What about you, Dave? Barbecue sauce or tomato sauce?
Tomatoes.
Yeah, that's right. And people look at you like, oh. But what about an egg and bacon roll? What do you have in an egg and bacon roll?
Barbecue.
Yeah.
Although sometimes you go to these cafes and they give you the antsy, your bacon egg roll and you've got lettuce and you've got, like some sort of jam on it. And I go, I just want a bacon egg roll. It's not that hard.
Yeah, the day that rocket and aioli came into the menu, it's like Australia's been lost forever.
What about, I told you about this the other week. I went and got a salad roll and I said, can you put some beetroot on that? They said that's an extra 80 cents. Since when has beetroot become an extra? Like,
it should be an opt-out.
Yes.
It should be an opt-out, not an opt-in. Interestingly enough, and we spoke about this a couple of weeks ago, next week, that is going to be a Facebook, like whatever time this comes out. But next week, I'm going to ask the question, what is mandatory on a salad roll?
But do you also think too, is that this lady was pre-making the rolls. Beetroot tends to make the bread go pink and soggy.
Yep.
Do you think maybe It's almost a
No, I
case-
don't buy that. I'm sorry.
Okay.
No.
Big Macs. The size, you worked at McDonald's. The size of Big Macs have gone smaller.
Oh,
do
they
you
have.
think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think there should be a class action to McDonald's because really
Shrinkflation.
We're not because remember a few years back they actually brought back the old Big Mac. They said the big size, and I'm going, hang on, that's the way it was before.
Yeah.
So why are you overcharging us for something that we're not getting?
It's progress, though. Everyone's doing it. You and I have spoken about wagon wheel, so I call it the wagon wheel experiment. When you want to talk about shrinkflation, if you've got a go-to, hey Dale, I'm snapping things. Is there a something you can find out wagon wheel comparisons old and new? Because I reckon the old wagon wheels were about yay big, and now they're. I reckon the wagon wheel, if you want to talk about shrinkflation,
Is a wagon wheel a biscuit?
yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a biscuit. Yeah, all day long. Well, what do you think it is?
Well, it's got jam in the middle.
Yeah, so does a nice Volvo.
So
Yeah, hey?
what have we got here?
I see. Okay. So that's
Yeah, but you can buy the little wagon wheels now.
yeah.
Yeah, I do believe they have gone down.
Yeah, they have gone down in size, and everything's.
I bet the mint patties.
Yeah, I know, absolutely. Shrinkflation.
Golden Rough.
Yeah, Golden Rough's another one. That's yeah. So no, they have, and that's the whole thing we're going through. So yeah. So
You also made a revelation on radio that you'd never had a Chico roll.
never had a Chico roll
Why?
because I just never have.
Well, why wouldn't you just say, oh, I just want, like, over all the time it's been advertised?
Well, I've
wouldn't you
actually
think
had I've had one since.
I have.
Yeah,
Oh,
but I
okay.
didn't eat it. I didn't like it.
Yeah, I've never had one. Like, and this gets 100 comments just on a
Well, here's the
on
thing.
an off the cuff thing like this.
Okay, let's leave the Chico roll in abeyance. Okay, let's move that to the side for a minute. One of the great parts about social media now in radio is people love to get involved. And I've discovered over the years now, if you can have a fun topic and everyone will get involved. If you make people think too much or be too controversial, a topic will die in the arse. It will absolutely die. So what you want to do is you just want to have a fun that brings back memories. So,
It's not reinventing the wheel. It's just a simple question of something that makes people go,
well, you think about the styrofoam esky. If you can make people, it's about forming a community. And if you can make people stop. So I've got this theory. People will say to me, what is your idea of success for a program? Because I had a guy a couple of years ago and he didn't like me. And believe it or not, some people don't like you. And sometimes they don't like you and they don't know why they don't like you, or it's something you've said. But this guy, I was out and about somewhere and I think he was pretty cut. I think he had a few drinks and he came up to me and goes, "You think you're a comedian, don't you?" I said, "No, mate, I don't think I'm a comedian." "Yeah, you do, Sergeant. You think you're a comedian." I said, "Look, buddy, if I was a comedian, I wouldn't be working in Newcastle. I'd be in Las Vegas driving a Ferrari." And it's like, I'm not a comedian. I'm not a funny guy. I'm an entertainer. I'm not a journalist. And this is where people often get, you're a journalist. What you've done and what you do is journalism. I'm an entertainer. So I'm lucky. I can morph in and out of topics. Like you were asking me about net zero. You're asking me about renewables. I've got a right to have an opinion, but I'm an entertainer. So for example, when I go on the air, every day I go on the air, when I walk through at 6 o'clock in the morning, my only thought is, what can I do to entertain the listener today? And it doesn't all have to be froth and bubble and stuff like that. People are intelligent. They want someone to have an opinion. Now, they don't always agree with your opinion, but I don't know what you guys think, but you don't want someone who's sitting on the fence all the time. You want someone to turn around and go, okay, I don't agree with Todd on that. And my audience are amazing. I'll have people ring up and they'll apologise for disagreeing with me. I'll pick up the phone and say, "I'm Todd, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry, but I normally agree with you, but I'm sorry." And it's like, you've got to have someone to have an opinion, and you're going to have days where, people don't agree with you. And that's the problem of what we do. If you say something, but what you try, I'm an entertainer. So if I can make someone take a trip down memory lane, and my gauge of success for a show, if I can do something and someone can smile, if they're driving along in the car and I can say something that makes them smile or nod their head or talk back to the radio, but if I can get a smile, I've done my job.
Just staying on that, when you're on air, when you're talking, you're always smiling, aren't you? Why is that?
A smile will make you sound happier. So one of the things that Australians do is we hardly open our mouth. Okay, so you Australians go and have a conversation. G'day, Barry. How you doing? Yeah, good, Trev. Yeah, I hope the Knights win this weekend. Yeah, last weekend was a shocker. So Australians don't open their mouth. We mumble. So with motion comes emotion. So, for example, if I was turning around saying, if you put a bit of a smile on your face, you don't go like this cheesy guy, hey, good morning, everyone. But if you put a smile on your face, you will sound friendly. 2 on your RFM, 103.7, 17 after, you can hear a smile in someone's face. So, yeah, you smile all the time. And before it, once the microphone, and I can be having terrible days. Like, I'm no different to anyone else. People have to turn up at work and something's gone wrong. They may have had a death in the family or something like that. But my job is not to bring my problems into the station. My job is, like I think I said to someone the other day, I was on air the day after my dad passed away. And I felt terrible. But my thing is, I go in and I'm putting on a show. So my issues are my issues. Everyone is always doing something worse.
Let's talk about Football Frenzy.
Okay.
That show that I did on 2NUR.
Yeah. How long did you do that for? A couple of years, didn't you?
I just thought it was just about 1 year. But,
okay.
But I actually loved it. I just learnt so much about it, more about the producing side of things, because, it was pre-recorded, but it was almost like we had about 6 interviews in that 1 hour show, and just getting them to call, because we only had 2 hours to record it.
It's a lot of work.
To get them to call at a certain time, and how people are alike, to try and get, you got to turn up, you got to call at 4:15. The next one was 4:25, 4:35.
Yeah.
To do that, that was the thing I learnt the most. But to be honest, I had so much pleasure doing that, and I really enjoyed it. And you gave me that opportunity. So
no, but what it was a real, and the thing that I liked about how you put it together, you took it very seriously. You worked so hard on that, and you had continually new guests coming up and things like that. You worked very, very hard on that.
Not one show the same.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And what a lot of people don't realise is they hear a program, okay, and they don't realise what's happening in the background. And one of the things in radio and television is the same, is that you live by the clock. Okay,
yeah.
You everything is You tick, 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 tick. If you tell someone, hey, we've got to get you on the air at 7:15, we're going to do our interview at 7:15. Okay, you're watching the time count down, and you need them at least. So one of the amazing things is people often ask me, what can you share about radio that listeners don't understand? Okay, so there's some couple of things. I will take all my calls because I don't have a producer, and what you'll say is, you've got a song counting down, because we never count up music in radio. We count down. It doesn't matter how much time has elapsed. I need to know how much time we've got to go before I've got to talk. So what will happen is you'll be taking a phone call, and someone will ring up and they may just want to have a chat. And you'll be sitting there and you'll be watching, you've got a minute, 59, 58, and you go, look, I'm really sorry, I've got to go. I don't want to be rude. Oh, yeah, but just another thing. I want to talk about so-and-so. And what a lot of people don't understand is I'm not scripted. Okay, I might know where I'm going. I might have a story. I might be going to throw to this. I might be going to promote that. But you've got to get your mindset in there.
Yeah.
And people go, look, I don't want to be rude. I've got to go. Oh, no, and you tick, 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 tick. It's the things that you don't know that you go, I've just got to get my head around what's going to happen. So, okay, where am I going to go? And because so much of it is ad lib, and you want to entertain, and you've got to do the time, you've got to do the weather, and all the while you're timing out to the news. Everything is, and I can be having a conversation with someone, and while I'm having a conversation with them, so for example, I might do a news headlines with our news editor, Ian Crouch, and we may go off on a topic. I've got a song that's ready to go to time out to the top of the hour. We may go over. So while we're having that conversation behind the scenes, I'm trying to change a song that might be less duration. So, yeah.
Tell me, when will Toddalina make another appearance?
Oh, yeah. I love that. And the funny... Yeah.
Hang on. Oh. There you go.
Imagine waking up next to that.
I think
dare to dream, Dave.
My times
do you need a bit of time on your own? Would you like us to
my early clubbing days? Let me tell you, I reckon I might have. So
you know what I thought when I first saw that picture? I thought drink 'em pretty. That's what I thought. Okay, can I give you some context? A local theatre company.
You know what I thought when I saw that picture?
What, you thought you're
There's
in
no
with
way,
a chance?
There's no way I'm going out with your sister.
Yeah, she's not as good at looking. I got the genes. She got the brains. I got the looks. But what happened was, I'm always, one of the things for me is I will do anything for a laugh. There is basically nothing I will not do for a laugh. And when this came off, when we did this, we were in COVID. And I can tell you, I made a decision as the program manager of the radio station when we were in, remember you'd watch the news and there was all this doom and gloom, you're going to die, blah, blah, blah. I made a decision, I got together with my team and they're a great team of people. I said, we are not going to talk about COVID. We'll let the news do what the news is going to do, but we are just going to continue to have fun. We're going to keep it light. We're going to keep it bright. We are going to be the company of the people who are locked down. So I made a decision that we were just going to leave all that doom and gloom to the news. And we're about 8 months or maybe 9 months into COVID. And a local theatre company were doing Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. And a girl that worked with us, Sarah Farley-Adams, lovely person, she's now working at Triple M, said, hey, why don't we have a little bit of fun? And why don't we, to promote the Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, why don't we get you dressed up in drag? And I'm like, you know what, let's go and have some fun. And we did it. We had to go to a super secret location at Mayfield West Industrial Estate. And I had hair. Well, I didn't have hair because that's a wig, believe it or not.
Really? Would not have known.
That's a wig. And
I know because the light's been shining in my eye from your forehead the whole
I
time.
know, it's terrible, isn't it? Yeah, but at least I haven't burned a hole in the ozone layer with a hair gel and spray. But anyway, back to me. Oh yeah. Jeez. So what happened was we got the makeup, they got the dress, and it was just a promotion. And it gave people a laugh. And at a time where, and the thing is, you've got to be prepared to take the piss out of yourself. And that's one of the problems with people in media. They are too uptight and out of sight. I will pretty much do anything if it will give someone a laugh or make their day. And I was lucky I could make jokes about pearl necklaces and stuff like that. And I think some of that went over people's heads. But the interesting part about, I'm 6'2", and I had stilettos on, and they were size 8 stilettos. Now I'm a size 12. And I managed to squeeze my chubby little feet into it. And I'm going to tell you, the dogs were barking at the end of the day. So I don't know if you've got any video of it, but it was so much fun. And yeah, that was because people have turned around and we got people turn around and say, there are some people who just were horrified by it. I'm going, what's the problem? If it gave some people a laugh. And yeah.
Yeah, you would have been good. I went to Mamma Mia last weekend, and a lot of people dressed in their ABBA costumes. But, what was it about? I went with my partner, Kelly, and she's into it, And is there something about, I love ABBA, but I'm not going to make it obvious to people.
Why not? What's the problem?
Well, I can enjoy a show without having to, get
Dance.
into it. I'm sitting there, I'm enjoying it, and she's looking at me going, what's wrong? And I'm going, I'm enjoying it. She goes, I should have took my mum. And I'm like, but
so you're just sitting there like...
But, how many times do blokes go to things and it's almost like, you enjoy it, but you don't actually have to.
Yeah, you don't have to. And, the interesting thing, that's the difference between men and women, okay, when it comes to musical tastes. Men's musical taste, they get to a point and that's it. Like the amount of guys I talk to and you go, mate, there's been no decent song since 1977.
Well, you tell me one bloke that would admit to loving ABBA.
I love ABBA.
Also, I do too. But if
you weren't going to admit that till I did.
No, but okay, go
What's
down
your
the
problem?
local.
What's your
Let's go
problem?
down the local pub and ask that to someone.
Well, it depends which pub you go to.
That's what I'm saying. But who's going to admit I like Dancing Queen?
Well, I did.
Yeah.
I like what's your problem?
This is an
now
anomaly.
we need to
We've
turn
actually
the
found
tables
two
now.
people
Is
that
there-
actually like ABBA and are happy to talk about it.
Is there an issue we need to discuss?
Well, it's on
Michael?
YouTube, so it's here forever for everyone. Favourite song?
Oh, what I can tell you, Jackson Brown, Somebody's Baby,
Okay.
from the Fast Times at Ridgemont High movie.
Favourite album?
Favorite album? Oh, that's a hard one.
Hard one.
That is a hard one. I don't have a favorite album. I can tell my first
Out of
album.
hell?
No, I'm not a big Meatloaf fan. No. My first album, here's a story for you. My first single was Tavares, Heaven Must Be Missing an Angel, which I bought at the Taro Public School Fate for 25 cents. And the first album I ever bought was Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons Greatest Hits. I was an old soul.
Yeah.
Like I loved the Beatles. So I liked the modern music, but I was an old soul as well.
I loved Dr. Hook. But at least there was an album that my sister had, and it was a best of. It was not Dr. Hook, but just a hits album, and it had a woman in like a denim shorts, but there was a rip, so you could see a bum. I don't know if do you ever remember that one?
Do you need a moment?
I love that album.
Name me the first 3 songs on side 1.
Dr. Hook,
Dr. Hook. More Dr. Hook.
Skyhooks, horror movie was horror movie.
Well,
right
that's not
there,
Dr. Hook.
No, but there was different artists on this album.
Oh,
That was one.
I know what that was. It was a various artist.
Yes.
So it wasn't a Dr. Hook. So it was
No, it
like
wasn't a Dr. Hook. It was a various artist.
Oh, so that would have been like Throbbing 79.
Yeah. Well,
Good job it wasn't a 60s.
Well, I'll tell you what,
Imagine that.
it was throbbing when I took that album into my room. Anyway, but
dear.
AI, you love it, don't you?
I do. I'm fascinated by AI.
We talk about AI everywhere. I know Dave rolls his eyes all the time.
You're not an AI fan, Dave.
I don't mind it.
See, AI would have got the mic open quicker than
Exactly right.
that. Yeah.
We've been all automated. I work in corporate AV outside of this, and AI is everywhere.
Yeah.
I've just been a bit over.
Yeah, no, look, and the thing is, I get it. It's AI, artificial intelligence.
But you didn't say whether you liked it or not.
It has its place.
Yeah, wait till it takes his job, you won't be happy.
Well, AI can't set all this up, so I'm fine.
Yet.
We'll see.
Hang on, there's a robot coming in right now.
Here comes K9.
R2D2.
Yeah, no, I'm fascinated by AI, and the reason I am is I fear for humanity with AI, not because of like the Terminator thing, but AI is making us dumb. It is making us dumber, and I'm the first one to put my hand up. I got to tell you, I don't know if this will get me in trouble, but I use AI for complaint letters. If someone's got a complaint, what I'll do is I'll run it through AI first. And this is probably going to get me into trouble, but anyway, I've had a good career. Prove it. I could be just having a joke with you. So what I'll do is I'll get the complaint letter and I'll go, can you please write a complaint letter, a response to this complaint letter, make it personable, professional, and efficient. And brrr, goes and does it.
No one's going to be able to take you seriously now.
No one takes me seriously anyway. Seriously. So the thing I love about AI is I'm fascinated by it. I'm also fearful that it is making us dumber.
Yep.
And it is making, and the other reason, can I get a bit conspiracy theorist with you now? Mm-hmm. I left my tinfoil hat out of the car.
Out the back, yeah.
The minute we go further down the AI rabbit hole, what will happen is history will start to change. So one of my big fears is books, physical music, physical movies. We're seeing it now. Movies are having parts taken out of them that people feel are too politically incorrect. And what will happen is when we lose the ability to go and get that book and read it as it was published, bits and pieces are going to get changed. And that's the problem. And all of a sudden, the minute you keep going to AI, people are starting to have AI relationships. And something, that cake I made the other day, and I talked about this on the air, I think it was yesterday, and I said, generally I'll type into AI what I want to know, but I don't want to talk to AI. I don't like it. And anyway, I was making the cake, and what I did was I wanted to know what the weight conversion of 2 cups of flour was. So I said, hey, can you tell me in grams, what would 2 cups of flour in grams be? And the AI voices come back, great question, are you baking something? Blah, 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 blah. I said, thank you. Well, I've said thank you. And then all of a sudden, no worries. If there's anything else I can help you with, I'm always here. I've gone, whoa. Because you imagine there'd be people who are lonely. You'd imagine all of us, if there's anything else I can do for you, I'm always here. And we're hearing more and more that people and we know that people are interacting less. You know, you hear stories about, and it's always good to dump on, Gen Z. But now, when you hear things like Generation Z require a text message before you phone them, because ringing them triggers them. You go, wow. When you hear that, and so I think, I am fascinated by AI. It'll be interesting to see where it goes.
Because you actually did a Todd Sergeant AI for your show, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
I wish we had that. But...
Yeah, no, I had it. What I deliberately did was, I went and it was a bit of a setup because so many things you do, but I went and got an AI voice. And what I did, I had some fun with our news guy, Ian Crouch. But what I didn't tell him was I specifically made this AI get everything wrong and sound bad. So basically I got Ian to jump in. It was a bit of a fun thing we put together, but I've gone, hey, Crouchy, I've decided this is the future of radio. This is AI. Say hi to AI announcer, Crouchy. And he goes, oh, hello, AI announcer. And it's gone, hello, Crouchy. How are you today, me old cock? And the thing is that it was just everything. It did everything wrong, and it swore, and it did this and did that and the other, and it was great because it wasn't me. It was the AI. But another thing, I decided when Beyonce won country album, what was it? Cowboy Carter or something was the Beyonce album. I'm like, seriously, Beyonce winning country album at the Grammys? You are kidding me. So I decided that was it. I wanted to create my own country music character. And I came up with Waylon Waylon. And of course that was spelt Waylin, Waylin. And so what I did, I went and got AI to write a country song. And I said to it, I want you to write me a country song about a DJ who's just a burnt out DJ, his time's coming to an end, and wants to, ride away in the sunset, drive away in the sunset with a girl and a dog. And it came back with these amazing lyrics. And I'm going, this is scary. Yeah. And we went a step further and I went and got it created with AI. And I said to everyone on the air, have a listen to this. If you didn't know it was AI, would you know? And so many people came back and said, no, it's scary. Now, if you're a muso, there are some things that, there are things that didn't kind of fit, that if you listen, you go, well, it's scary stuff. Yeah. And I wouldn't want to be a muso at the moment with all of this. This is any content creator, you think if you're a writer, a songwriter, a muso.
Even in advertising, writing ads.
Totally, yep, copywriters.
Honestly, like you could punch anything in and you'd be home by 10 o'clock.
I think the AI genie is out of the bottle, and I think that, it's going to a lot of jobs are going to get lost. Anything that's data collating. And, correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm happy to be proven wrong, but they had some protocols, and I can't remember, but one of them was AI wasn't allowed to code. That was one of the protocols that AI wasn't allowed to code. And another one was, I could be wrong, and I'm sure there'll be comments that'll say you got it wrong. But another one I think was they couldn't change things autonomously. And what's happened is that's been thrown out the window. So AI is coding. Remember during COVID, if you wanted to get a different job, everyone's going, oh, you need to be a coder. You need to be a coder. Three years long, you're gone, you're done. So,
well, just before we wrap this up, I just want to ask one more question. Do you ever see, you haven't got long to go in radio.
What do you know that I don't know?
What's
going on? It's
in my water.
So how's it going to play out? Am I going to wind up buried next to the critic?
I just think you might be doing. Yeah, you might be. Look, you're going to be going on to bigger and better things, I think. But before that, I would love to.
You're wide-ending me for my gig, aren't you?
No,
I'm not going anywhere.
Can you let me propose this? Because it won't be wide-ending. This is. Do you think or see a future in us being a radio duo for breakfast, Caney and Sarge?
Yeah, I've got an issue with that for starters.
Okay, Sergeant Caney.
Yeah. Todd Sergeant and the C. You got to.
Yeah, but you know what the C could be. Yeah, no, I'm not in that.
Hey, you got to get seriously, dude. Seriously,
mate, you'd be rude. You'll be pulling out the sports tragics bloody graphic for
You're a blowing.
I just think we bounce off each other well.
Todd Sergeant, Wacky Joe.
Look, for all the listeners, all Todd's listeners, please comment on Facebook and like. What do you think about Todd having a sidekick?
Yeah, but the problem is, I don't see it. What I do see, though, I would love us to go back and do a podcast. I think that'd be great.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Now you're white-handing us.
No, I'm not white-handing you. I want to do it with you. I want him gone. I can get an AI prompt that can take care of it.
Maybe AI could just replace the three of us, and we just.
You
don't
know
have to
the
do
reason
this.
why you would never do that? Because it doesn't pay as much as carpet laying.
Oh,
it's seriously,
it's
mate.
fun. It's fun, and
Yeah,
as
but
you know,
yeah, but
when
you're-
I'm driving to work, I'm actually sort of. I know you don't have a producer, but I'm putting stuff in your head. For the next segment, I think.
I really think so, do you?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah. Todd Sergeant, it's been a pleasure to have you on Incredible Lives with Caney.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, and
Mr. C.
I hope you can come on again one day.
When would you like me back? I've got my diary in the car.
Okay, rightio. And your chicken soup.
Yeah, can we get rid of... It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Todd.